Yeah, this is case number 352 on the calendar in the matter of Chavarria versus Calic. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Chavarria, the defendant is your former girlfriend, according to your complaint, after an argument at your sister's house. Is this your sister?
That is correct.
Ms. Calic assaulted you, and later she burned some clothes that you had been laundering at her house. Ms. Calic says she didn't burn your clothes, she doesn't know what you're talking about, but that you assaulted her during this altercation, and she is counterclaiming. Now, when did this altercation take place at your sister's house?
On October 7, 2005.
Tell me about it.
I was in the process of moving my clothing from my friend's house to my mom's house. So I asked Erica if I can do my laundry at her mom's house, and she said yeah.
Why didn't you do the laundry at your mother's house?
Because she doesn't have a washer and dryer.
Do you have a key to that house?
No.
How did you get in?
Her brother was there.
Who was this?
That's her brother.
Did you let him into the house?
No. He wasn't there. Like, I don't remember him letting him in.
Don't speak. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and I did my laundry, and there's some things that I dry, and then there's other things that I hang up. So I hung up all my clothing in her closet.
You hung up wet clothes in her closet?
I hung up my jeans, some of my work shirts, a couple sweaters, and that's about it.
Go ahead.
So I went and picked her up at about 12:30.
Where did you pick her up from?
From school.
Where do you go to school?
At Spokane Community College.
What are you studying?
I'm going for administrative systems.
What time did he pick you up at school?
12:30.
And where did you go?
We went back to my house.
When you got back to your house, was his laundry dry or wet?
When he left him from his friend's house, they were still in his trunk. He never did laundry at my house. He was going to, but we ended up going to go look for apartments to live in.
How do you know they were in his trunk?
Because he had brought them from his friend Mike's house.
What I'm asking you, Ms. Calic, is how do you know his clothes were in his trunk?
Okay, I don't know. I'm assuming that they were.
Fine. What did you go to your house for?
Because we went and got a paper, and we sat there at my house and circled apartments and called and made an appointment to go look at the apartments.
Where was your brother?
He was in his room.
Did you see him there?
Yes.
Did you go into his room?
Yes.
He didn't come out to you. You went into his room.
Well, not at this time. He was...
I'm just asking you a question.
No, I went into his room.
That's what I asked you. Next.
When we were looking for apartments, we went to one place, and we didn't really like it, so we decided to go to my sister's house, Clarissa. Me and Clarissa's ex-boyfriend went to the store, and when I came back, my friend Mike said Erica's in the room talking to her ex-boyfriend. So I went to listen on the phone to see if it was true, and she was on the phone talking.
Just a second. What do you mean you went to listen in on the phone?
I went into my sister's room to
And you picked up the extension?
Yeah.
That's pretty gross.
Okay. Then I went into the room and asked Erica why she was calling her ex-boyfriend, and then she said, "Why do you care?" And I was like, "Because I'm your boyfriend." I was like, "Would you want me to be calling my ex-girlfriend at one of your brother or sister's house and then be trying to hide it from my sisters like you're doing, like you're going to go cheat on me or something?" Then she got up and she's like, "Oh, you're always so jealous," and she started cussing me out and screaming at me. Then I took the phone from her. And then that's
How
when
did you get the phone from her?
Because I told her to leave.
Well, so far, all I'm hearing is, and I said to her, how would you think you would feel if it were me talking to an ex-girlfriend at your brother's house? And I took the phone from her. Tell me how you took the phone from her, sir. The phone is in her hand, yes.
And then I grabbed the phone from her.
Okay, well, now we get to the grab part. You grabbed the phone from her hand, and what happened when you grabbed the phone from her hand?
I told her to leave my sister's house.
You grabbed the phone from her hand. Did she pull back?
No.
She just gave you the phone?
She didn't give it to me. She tried to keep it in her hand.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. Pay careful attention. Life has a certain rhythm to it. There are certain natural things that happen. Yeah. And when you get to be my age, things become more natural. You know, if it doesn't make sense, it usually doesn't happen. So that she's talking to the ex-boyfriend on the phone. You go to grab the phone out of her hand. She pulls back. You pull back. So now you're in a struggle for the phone, right?
Correct.
And then what happened, sir?
So I had the phone in my hand.
How did you do that?
I took the phone from her hand.
You overpowered her.
That is correct.
And?
And then that's when she hit me in my temple and once in my nose. And then I pushed her. And during the whole thing, that's when my sister walked in and was trying to pull us away from each other. And so I was walking outside, and that's when Erica pulled me back in and was hitting me all over in my neck and my chest and my back. And then I hit her in the eye because it was for self-defense. I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't get away from her.
So the police came, and what happened when the police came?
Okay, before the police came, I was outside smoking a cigarette, and then Mercedes, Erica's daughter, came outside and asked me if I can give them a ride home. I said, yeah, and that's when Erica came barging outside and slammed the door open, and this door hit Mercedes in the face and gave her a bloody nose. And I was like, Erica, what are you doing? And then she said, look at my eye. And then I was like, look at my face, Erica. Look at what you did. If you didn't hit me first, I wouldn't have to defend myself.
What injuries did you have on your face?
I had cuts and bruises above my eye, under my eye. I had a couple lumps on my head. And
when the police came, did they arrest you?
No.
Did they arrest her?
No, because she wasn't there. She left before the police came.
Did you
can
file
I tell my part of the story? Because this.
I'm going to get to you.
Okay. Well, no.
I'm going to get to you.
Okay.
Does anybody have a copy of the police report?
No.
No.
According to the plaintiff, you had a prior incident involving domestic violence with him. Is that true?
Correct.
When was that?
June 2nd, 2005.
Were you taken into custody on that day?
Yes, I was.
How did you assault him?
I slapped him.
So that you're not a stranger to slapping him.
Oh, no. I've done it before.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Just because you're the woman doesn't give you the right to put your hands on another person. And if you put your hands on another person, you hurt them a little bit, and they hurt you a lot, that comes under the category of too bad.
And later today,
If you don't pay child support for your child, you're a bum.
Yeah, basically.
Perfect.
It would have been his second time going to jail for not paying his child support.
That's a bum times two.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 19-year-old Gabriel Chavarria says ex-girlfriend Erica Calick owes for burning his clothes and punching him. Erica is countersuing, claiming Gabriel gave her a black eye.
What happened when he pulled the phone away from you?
He didn't even pull the phone away from me.
So tell me what happened when he came into the bedroom, which you acknowledge that he did.
Yes.
Came into the bedroom and you got into a heated argument about you're allegedly speaking to a former boyfriend.
I wasn't speaking to anybody. It was his friend Mike that was talking to my ex-boyfriend because they're friends, and they were going to go out to a party or something.
So you never got on the phone to say hello?
No,
Okay.
never.
So when he came inside and said, what's going on? Let me hear.
He stood up, and I
No,
stood up because I was sitting on the floor. And
What were you doing sitting on the floor?
we were all sitting on the floor.
Who's all?
Me, his friend Mike, and his other sister.
You mean the two of you weren't alone in the room at the time?
Oh, no.
Go ahead.
And I stood up because he got on the other line and he heard my ex-boyfriend talking, but I wasn't speaking to him. So he came in and said that I was trying to call him, and it's just common sense that why I wouldn't call my ex-boyfriend at his sister's house. So I stood up and he was calling me all these names and pushed me, so I pushed him back and he hit me in the room. It wasn't in the living room or where he said it was. It was in the room, and I fell back on the bed and got up and then pushed him again, and we just kind of got in a fight, but I didn't punch him or slap him or anything. And then he had a scratch right here, and that was the only thing that he had. I have pictures.
Just a second. He had a scratch from what?
Well, I'm guessing I scratched him. I don't remember.
Well, you must have scratched him because according to you, all I heard was I pushed him.
No, and then we got into a fight. But I didn't punch him or anything, like
You
he said.
scratched him.
Yeah.
What do you mean, yeah?
I guess.
Anything-
I mean,
let me
obviously
ask
he
you
had
this question, madam. If you scratched him and he just had a little scratch over here, you think that he overreacted by punching you in the eye?
Yes, I do.
That's too bad. If you put your hands on somebody and scratch them, give them a little scratch, sometimes you get, listen to me, sometimes you get the worst of the deal. Somebody's going to get the bad part of a bargain every time there's an altercation, a physical altercation. Somebody's going to get hurt a little bit more than another person. And just because you're the woman doesn't give you the right to put your hands on another person. And if you put your hands on another person, you hurt them a little bit, and they hurt you a lot, that comes under the category of too bad.
It was in self-defense, Your Honor. He
Listen
hit
to me.
first.
Listen to me. That comes under the category of too bad. You can't scratch him and then say, well, I can scratch you, but you better not punch me in the eye. You better not give me a black eye. Now, when he gave you the black eye, were you angry?
Of course.
And then you went home with your daughter. Now, did you hurt your daughter that day?
No, I didn't. She got a bloody nose, but I did not do it.
Well, who did it?
I don't know.
That should have been your primary concern, not your black eye, how your 4-year-old daughter got a bloody nose.
It wasn't. That was
Listen
not my
to me.
concern.
Listen to me. Because according to him, he says he knows how your daughter got it. You came, you opened the door on her face, and that's how she got a bloody nose. Then you put her in the car and you took her home. When did you notice her bloody nose?
Right away, right when it happened.
Well, if you noticed it right when it happened, how did it happen?
Because my back was faced toward her, and then she started crying. I said, what happened? She goes, I got hit in the nose, and it was bleeding. That's the only thing. Then I grabbed her and walked downstairs and walked to my mom's work because he wouldn't give me a ride home.
Let me see an inventory, sir, about what you allege was in her house.
All my clothes were in her house, but I had to go and get new clothes. These are just the receipts of all my clothes that I had to buy. And here's a letter from my supervisor from all the scratches and cuts and welts on my head.
Listen to me. I believe she assaulted you. I believe that you hit her and gave her a black eye. Terrific. That's quite a way to behave in front of a 4-year-old. Put your hand down. You went in there angry. If I believe what you say, sir, if I believe what you say, which is different from what she says, you put your hands on her first, only by trying to take the phone away from her.
That is
You
correct.
struggled over the phone. You have no right to put your hands on anybody in an aggressive way. Put your hands on her in an aggressive way if I believe you. I believe somewhere in between these two stories is the truth. But if you each wound up with a couple of scratches and a black eye, it sounds to me like you deserved each other. How do you know she burned your clothes?
My sister called her later that night and asked Erica how she was doing, if her eye was okay.
Up here. Tell me your last name.
Chavaria.
Did you speak to her later that day on the 7th of October?
Yeah, I called.
Just a second. You called to ask her if her eye was okay?
Yes.
What did she say?
She said it was still black. It was still hurting.
And?
I asked her how her daughter's bloody nose was, and she said it was better. And I said, well, Erica, don't throw away his clothes. And she said, no, tell him I'm going to burn him and throw him away. I said, Erica, don't cause drama, because, and then she's like, no, and then she hung up on me.
Sit down. You had jeans, sweaters, work shirts. How many work shirts?
About
Just
10.
get out of here. Let
Your
me see
Honor,
the
when
bills
she
that you
called
have.
me-
Let me see the bills that you have.
Your Honor, can I say something?
Go ahead.
When she called me, she never asked about his clothes because his clothes were never at my house. She
Yes,
asked
they
me
were.
if I was okay. And I was like, yeah. I said, why are you going to call, now and ask me if I'm okay when she didn't try and do anything when he hit me?
What about when you hit him?
What do you mean?
Did she try to do anything when you hit him?
No. She tried breaking us up and saying, Gabriel, just stop.
All the clothes that you purchased, sir, were $453. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $453. Your counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You step out.
I didn't want to be with him anymore. I was showing it. He obviously got the hint now.
She never even hinted that to me.
He had a car. He gave me money, and so that's why I was with him.
See, that shows you the type of girl she is right there.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Torres versus De Jesus. Step forward, please.
23-year-old Ileana Torres is suing her ex-fiancé, 25-year-old Benny De Jesus, for a loan to pay his child support. Ileana says Benny was in danger of going to jail for the second time.
How old are you, Miss Torres?
23.
And you, sir?
25.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a professional esthetician.
What about you, Mr. De Jesus? What do you
An
do?
electrician.
How many children do you have, Miss Torres?
Just one.
How old?
He's 5.
Does he live with you?
Yes, he does.
Who supports him?
I do.
How many children do you have, Mr. De Jesus?
One, Your Honor.
Where does that child live?
Lives with his mother right now.
And who supports your child?
Well, I pay child support every month right now, and she has physical custody of him.
Do you pay child support for Miss Torres's child?
No, ma'am.
Because it's not your child.
Yes, ma'am.
It would be stupid for you to pay child support for Miss Torres's child because the child doesn't belong to you.
Yes.
Child has a mother and a father,
Yeah.
and the mother and father should pay child support.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is what your lawsuit is about, Miss Torres. You and Mr. De Jesus had the unfortunate experience of being engaged to each other for a period of time. And while you were so involved, Mr. De Jesus fell behind in his child support, among other things. But this is what your lawsuit is about. And is your claim that you made a loan to him so that he wouldn't go to jail to pay his child support.
Yes.
Now, Mr. De Jesus says she paid the child support. You acknowledge.
Yes, I did. Yes, she paid it for me.
But it was a gift. Now do you understand my preliminary questions?
Oh, yes. Clear as a bell.
So I asked you a couple of seconds ago, Mr. De Jesus, you wouldn't pay child support for her child, right?
Yeah.
Because the child's not yours.
Nope.
Child has a mother and a father.
Yep.
Parents are supposed to pay for their own children,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And if you don't pay child support for your child, you're a bum.
Yeah, basically.
Perfect. How much did you give him to pay the child support?
$2,400.
And how much time was he facing in jail if he didn't pay the child support?
2 years.
Ah.
It would have been his second time going to jail for not paying his child support.
That's a bum times 2. Now, Miss Torres, I mean, he's easy to take care of. You know, I could take care of 10 of him with this pinky. 10 of him. My question to you is, you don't look like a marginal person, articulate. You look somebody in the eye when you speak to them. You have a child that you support, lives with you. What are you doing with him? I mean, are things so desperate out there that you got to pick a bum who's got one child and has fallen behind twice in child support to the extent that the second time they were going to put him in jail for 2 years? You're going to get your $2,400 because that's what he owes you. Because he doesn't want to pay for your child and you shouldn't have to pay for his. Right, Mr. DeJesus?
Yeah, but
right.
It wasn't $2,400. She only gave me $1,000. The rest of it I raised myself.
Show me the $2,400, Miss Torres.
She knows that it was $1,000 that she gave me.
This is the check.
And the rest of it was raised
This is the check
up
that
and
I
all
had
put
signed.
together.
This is where it came out of my son's bank account.
Because the money was deposited in there so that we could write a check out for it because I can't get cash.
And I got my money in there.
She knows that the reason the money was deposited was so that I could write a check out because I had to have record of the money that I'm paying.
No,
for
and
my
I
child
have
support.
a piece of paper.
Well, no time around the withdrawal of this $2,400, sir, did anybody put in $1,500?
It was sporadically put in. It was $200 here. As I kept raising the money, I would put the money into the account because the court date was coming. When the court date came,
you should have kept better
we
records.
deposited.
What kind of an excuse did you give to the mother of your child every time you didn't send money?
I mean,
Checks in the mail.
We both spoke. We speak every time we see each other. She knows if I'm late and when she's going to get her money.
Let me ask you this question, Mr. DeJesus. Yesterday, did you eat dinner?
Yeah.
And you have a cell phone?
No.
You have a regular phone?
No, actually, no. Thanks to Miss Torres here, I don't have nowhere to live actually right now.
I was paying for everything for you.
She took my car.
Miss Torres,
threw my clothes away.
Does he have a problem that's eating up the money that he's earning from being an electrician?
From what I'm concerned, I don't know.
You
But
don't
when
know.
I met him, he did have problems.
Yeah.
Yes.
All I'm doing is telling you, I know. And you have a responsibility because you have a 5-year-old child. You're only supposed to bring the right kind of people into their lives. You got it?
Yes.
Judge for the plaintiff for the amount of $2,400. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Ernest claims Vicky attacked him first.
Now, this is case number 252 on the calendar in the matter of Hodges versus Baumgart.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Miss Hodges, this used to be your boyfriend, and you lived together for a brief period of time. It is your claim that April of 2006, Mr. Baumgart assaulted you. In addition to assaulting you, he damaged your car by kicking it, and in a fit of rage, he destroyed certain property. Mr. Baumgart says he never assaulted you, but he does, in fact, acknowledge that he kicked the taillights out of your car. That he acknowledges. Okay. When did you move in together?
In February of 2006. February 4th.
Did you move into a new apartment that you got, or did you move into his place, or he moved into yours?
I moved into his place that he owned with his mother.
And you moved in with your 9-year-old daughter?
Right.
And this argument happened in April. April what?
It was Saturday night, April 29th.
Tell me what happened, Miss Hodges.
Ernie's 2 kids were at their mother's house, and my daughter was at her father's house. He had worked all day. I had worked all day. So we didn't have the kids. We decided to go out dancing. It was already late when we left, probably 10 o'clock at night. And the first place we went was Banana Factory. I used to work there, and they didn't have any music to dance to. That's what Ernie wanted to dance. So we left, went to a second place, decided not to stay there. And the third place we went to was another Banana Factory. And everything was fine. We walked in, we ordered a drink. My witness, Randy Wood, was the bartender that night. As soon as we ordered the drink, we got up and we went and we danced. And Ernie actually, when we were dancing, we were slow dancing, was telling me, let's just go to Claire's, we'll get a cheapy ring, let's just get married. I mean, we're having a great time. And I had bought a horse the day before. So when we went back to sit down, we started talking about the horse I bought. And I just mentioned to him that it's not every day you see a bunch of black cowboys.
Could you speak slowly?
Okay.
I'm having trouble.
All right. And Ernie says, you mean to tell me that you hung out with a bunch of racial slurs? And
that's not true. That's not true. Excuse me, Your Honor. That's not true.
And that's when my drink came at me, and he smashed the ashtray, and he stormed out of the bar. And my witness, like I said, was the bartender that night.
You were the bartender that night?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you step up? Tell me your name.
Randy Wood.
you remember this incident?
Yes, I do.
Tell me what you observed.
Well, they had come in and went around to the end of the bar. I went over and introduced myself, and they introduced themselves. They ordered a couple of drinks. I gave him a rum and coke, Cap Morgan, and I gave her a margarita. And then they got up and went out and danced on the dance floor. I was just waiting on other people. I went back down at the end when they came back from the dance floor, and I went over to clean some glasses in the sink. Next thing I know, the ashtray gets smashed and a drink gets thrown, and it hits
Well,
me
the
and
ashtray
smashes
got
against the
smashed
cooler.
by whom? Mr. Baumgart.
Yes, ma'am.
And the drink got thrown by whom at whom?
At her, missed her, hit me, and smashed against the cooler.
So he threw the glass.
He threw the glass.
You must have been pretty angry, sir.
Yeah, if she told the story correctly.
I don't care whether you told the
there'd be
story correctly or not. You must have been pretty angry.
Yeah, I was extremely upset.
Anything else? And then he left.
He left, and shortly after that, I tried to ask her what happened, and she went right up behind him a couple minutes later.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Go ahead.
So I followed him outside. He was sitting in his truck. His face was white and his eyes were really dark. I hadn't seen him like that before, and the truck door was open. And I asked him, "Are you seriously going to leave me here?" And I just backed away from the door. He took off like a crazy person, took off down the street. A gentleman pulled up. He wasn't a friend of mine, but I had seen him from being in this place I used to work. He asked me if everything was okay. I said, "I don't know what just happened." He's like, "Can I buy you a drink? Can I give you a ride?" I said, "You know what, a ride would be great." He took me home. My keys were in Ernie's truck, so when I got home, I crawled through the doggy door and came in, and my phone is just ringing and ringing and ringing, and it's him. And I just ignored it. I figured he left me at the bar, let him worry. I figured he couldn't find me, so I plugged the phone in the charger, went and laid down, and I woke up to him grabbing me by the hair, flinging me into the wall.
No.
Don't
Excuse me, Your
speak
Honor.
yet.
Excuse me.
Don't speak yet. Go ahead.
Our bedroom had a sliding glass door, so I go through the sliding glass door, and our bathroom was there. So I go to get in the bathroom, and he's pushing on the door as I'm like behind the door pushing, and there's like a little alcove there. And he gets the door open, and when he gets behind me, he grabs me by the hair. He's beating my head against the wall. And then I came out from behind the door, and then he takes my head sideways and hits it on the wall there, and the toilet paper holder thing was there, and I was worried he was going to like hit my head on the toilet paper roll. And then he hit my head, like smashed my face on the floor. It was very fast. But after he hit my head that time, I had told him, I said, "Ernie, stop, you're going to kill me." And I start kicking at the door, hoping it'll fall. And it actually did, and I got wedged. And I have a photo to show you here. Because it fell over me, he wasn't able to get to me. So he starts kicking me, like from underneath it. And that's my injuries, my whole arm right here.
You have photos of that?
Yes.
I'd like to see the photos, and I'd like to see your medical report, please.
This is it's the bathroom door. Just so you can see where I was kicking it and where it fell.
No, just photographs of you and the medical report, please.
Okay. Okay. I also have the EMS report from when the ambulance came that evening.
I'd like to see it, please.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Baumgart, my next question is to you, sir, and I'm going to get back to this alleged assault in a moment. When did you kick the taillights out of a car?
Just after she told me I was going to jail, and she ran next door to grab the...
So the same evening?
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Baumgart, I would like you now to tell me your version of the events of that evening, starting at the bar.
This was the fourth bar we had been to, her drinking margaritas, and I was drinking the Captain Morgan. That was all true. We did dance. All this was true. She decided to tell me how she purchased this horse, you know, that and it was through some sort of a sexual favor.
Give me a break.
And that's where I got upset. I don't know how she's saying that I got upset, but that's where it came from. I stormed out of the bar. I did. I drove down the road a couple of miles. You know, I left her there. I was very upset. I turned around. I called her a few times to find out where she was at because I couldn't find her when I did turn around. Apparently she got in a ride with somebody within 10 minutes or whatever. I did it. I drove home. I unlocked the doors because they were still locked. Opened up the door, went in there, and she was extremely upset that I had left her at the bar, which I didn't blame her. But after what she had told me that night, I was still upset. So she took her cell phone and hit me in the arm with it.
I apologize.
I took the cell phone.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. I took the cell phone from her and threw it and smashed it. Then we proceeded to, I walked her out of the house to her car to tell her to leave. And we were arguing in the yard, and that's when my witness, Jeffrey, our neighbor, saw what had happened outside.
Outside?
Outside. And this is when I set her in her car. We were arguing in the car. She turned around and kicked me in the groin.
How do you set her in her car, sir? How do you do that? Physically, how do you do that? Explain the process.
By her arm.
So you touched her.
Yes, ma'am.
You touched her and put her in the car.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right.
I wanted her to leave. She turned and kicked me in the groin. I grabbed my reflex. I grabbed her foot and pulled her from the car. Jeffrey was screaming at me, told me to leave her alone, go back in the house, and I did.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You want me to believe that she punched herself so that when she went to the doctor the next day, she had numerous hematoma all over her body. That's what you want me to believe? Sit down, Jeffrey. We've had enough of each other.
And later today.
Do you have the police report indicating the theft? The answer is either yes. Don't close your mouth.
No.
When was it stolen?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Vicki Hodges claims ex-boyfriend Ernest Baumgard assaulted her during a fit of jealous rage. Vicki also claims Ernest shattered the taillights on her car.
Jeffrey, you didn't see anything that happened inside the house, did you?
No, I did not. I heard a lot of commotion.
But you didn't see anything that happened inside the house?
I physically could not see inside the house. That is correct.
When you saw what was going on outside, were you able to clearly see the faces of the people?
Absolutely. Okay. Vicki had came to my door, wanted me to call the cops.
When she came to your door, what did she say?
That Ernie was trying to kill her, quote unquote.
And she asked you to call the police?
Yes.
Did you?
At that point, I didn't have the phone with me. No, I did not at that point.
At any point, did you call the police?
Later on that evening, correct.
How much later?
After they had already called.
After who had already called?
The cops were called, Your Honor.
Oh, sir, that's outrageous.
No, it's not.
Oh, yes, it is, sir.
No violence was happening at that point, ma'am.
Just a second. You have a woman coming to you in the middle of the night and saying, please call the police. Listen to me.
There were no marks on her, Your Honor.
Listen to me, sir. Listen to me, sir. Outrageous. You have a woman coming to you and saying, please call the police. He's trying to kill me. And I have a hospital record from a doctor that evening, which indicates that she has multiple contusions and abrasions all over. I'm speaking. Don't interrupt me when I'm speaking. All over her body. And you question, you decide to err. And you decide to err not in protecting somebody who's come to you in the middle of the night after what you say was a commotion next door, but you don't call the police until somebody else has called the police. Jeffrey, not smart of you, sir.
Your Honor, during this time, 4 different times, I told them both to separate. 4 different times.
Where did you receive your police training, Jeffrey?
I am not an officer of the law.
You are absolutely right. You're not supposed to tell them to separate.
But may I finish, Your Honor? There is some injustice being done here. May I finish?
Jeffrey,
I was concerned with Vicki and her. They were both physically drunk, Your Honor. Now, in the state of Florida...
Now, let me explain something to you, sir. I am reading from a medical record by you. I'm speaking, and you are not a police officer, and you're not a trained physician. The physician who examined her...
Which was in the afternoon, not that evening. She refused the ambulance aid card.
The EMS...
She refused it that evening.
Listen to me, sir, very carefully. The EMS worker who responded that evening, not the hospital the next morning, the EMS worker says, patient is not intoxicated. That's what the EMS worker said. It's right here. Right here.
That is incorrect.
All right. Well, it's incorrect. And
I smelled alcohol, honey.
Just a second. My name is not Honey.
I'm sorry you're drunk.
And you may have smelled alcohol, but you can smell alcohol when somebody has had 1 drink, and you can smell alcohol when they've had 21 drinks.
Absolutely.
And what I'm telling you is, if a woman comes to your house and says, please call the police because he's going to kill me, if you're going to err, you err on the side of caution and you call the police. Because, let's say she was right, and you've already made a judgment. You didn't see any outward manifestations of assault. You felt that she was intoxicated, so you were going to handle this yourself. You made a mistake, sir. She was physically injured. And according to the doctor, the next day, I know you're shaking your head. I mean, I don't understand. You want me to believe, sir, that she went and flailed herself on a floor and hit herself, punched herself, or got somebody else to do it so that when she went to the doctor the next day, she had numerous hematoma all over her body. That's what you want me to believe? Sit down, Jeffrey. Sit down, Jeffrey. We've had enough of each other.
I'm sorry.
you have any other notes from the district attorney or any other reports?
From the district attorney, no.
From whom?
I have Jeffrey's police statement, which he just contradicted himself
I'd like to
on.
see it, please.
I never came to his door. I was in the backyard being choked by Ernie.
Did you tell the police you thought she should be arrested, sir?
Yes, I did.
Did you tell the police that she came to your door?
Yes, I did.
Not in here.
That is on my written statement.
No, she was screaming. She said,
Your Honor,
we
maybe
were aware of something going on next door. When I came out, I see Ernie telling Vicky to leave and get off his property. She was screaming that I should call 911. You didn't tell the police she came to your door.
My screen room, it's all attached. And we talk at the screen door like it's a front door. I'm sorry. You know?
Well, that's a big difference. Listen to
me.
me, Jeffrey. There's a big difference between telling the police that you heard screaming outside and telling the police that this woman came to your door, knocked at your door, and said, please call the police. He's trying to kill me, which is what you told me a moment ago. Big difference. I do believe both are guilty of hitting each other. I know I also believe she should be taken into custody.
The officer told me to absolutely put down my feelings the way I did it.
Oh, the officer told you to put down your feelings?
Mm-hmm.
In what jurisdiction do you live where an officer tells you to put down your feelings, Jeffrey? I never heard of that. I've been in law enforcement for 35 years.
Well, I'm sorry, Your Honor, but it was Bradenton, Florida.
Okay.
They both felt that they all should have been arrested.
California, maybe I would believe that an officer said, look, put down your feelings. Not in Florida. I live in Florida.
Make me lock
Florida, they don't care about your feelings. They care about bruising. They care about hematomas.
There were no bruises, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Oh, yes, you're wrong, sir.
I'm sorry, Honor.
I'm sorry, too, Jeffrey. You're wrong. You made a mistake. And I believe that you exercised poor judgment that day, Jeffrey. You are responsible for this assault, Mr. Baumgart, and you are responsible for kicking the taillights on her car. She wants her deductible paid, $500. If you were mad enough to kick her car, which, by the way, I might add, Jeffrey doesn't indicate in here, then you are mad enough to kick her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Ma'am, wait here.
Well, in his police report, he says that I slept with the guy I bought the horse from.
She just said that who else can get a horse for $300?
He told his attorney something different.
Nobody, without doing some kind of a favor.
He never, ever called me a name or was mean to me before that day.
To say that I assaulted her is just crazy.
So it came as a complete surprise.
And I guess she needed to pay some bills off, so here we are.
Just don't put up with it. One time and I was out of there.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Highmiller versus Loss. Step forward.
John Highmiller is suing his former friend, 25-year-old Heather Loss, for the value of a computer he claims she stole. Heather denies the charge and says she knows who stole it.
Mr. Highmiller, you and the defendant met at some sort of bar or club, and it is your claim that she took your computer without permission.
Yes, it is.
And Miss Loss says that she had your permission to take the computer.
No, she didn't.
I didn't ask you anything. This is going to be very, very quick and very painless. Miss Loss says that she had your permission to take the computer, not to take it, to borrow it, which she did. She took the computer home, and unfortunately, it was stolen out of her house.
Correct.
Is that right?
That is right.
Do you have the police report indicating the theft? The answer is either yes. Don't close your mouth.
No.
When did you borrow the computer?
In September.
When was it stolen?
About a week after I borrowed it from John.
What else was taken during the theft?
That is the only thing that got taken. It was out of my house, and I knew who did it, and I tried tracking him down, and I told John.
Just a minute. Who did it?
His name is Sean.
Is he a friend of yours?
Old friend.
An old friend of yours took his computer that you borrowed?
Correct. It was on the
How did he get into the house?
The door was open. I guess he's been watching the house.
So who left the door open?
I live at my dad's house, and I didn't have a key at the time. I just moved to my dad's house.
Oh, so it was your fault?
No, it wasn't my fault.
Well, that's your fault if you didn't have a key and you left the door open.
It was a quick, I had to make one errand, and I was coming right back.
Let's assume that I believe you, which I don't, because the story that you just gave me is a crock. But let us assume that I believe you, that you borrowed the computer with his permission, you brought it to your house, and it was taken. It was taken by somebody you know who had access to your house because you left the house open. That is your fault. I want you to repeat after me. It was my fault.
It wasn't my fault.
Oh,
I called him and told him the laptop was stolen.
I don't care what you called and told him. You left the door open to your house because you didn't have a key. If I believe the story that you're telling me, so it just makes my life much easier to believe the story that you're telling me. I mean, I don't even have to stress about whether or not you borrowed it, or you had permission to take it, or you didn't have permission to take it. Do you understand? You left the door open. Unfortunately, in this day and age, we don't do that. His property was taken. You're responsible. Judge him for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,900. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may be on the calendar in the matter of Cole versus Moser. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Miss Cole, the defendant's son, that probably would be you?
Yes, ma'am.
Threw a chair at your car.
Yes, ma'am.
And allegedly damaged it. And you want the defendants to pay for the cost of repairing your car.
Correct.
Me, I'd want the kid to pay, but he's only 16, so if I rule against the parents, it's the parents' responsibility to torture him by hopefully making him get a job and do something. You can stand up next to your parents, please. The defendant says that he did throw a chair at your car, right?
Yes, I did.
But that you deserved it, right?
Yes.
Miss Cole, do you know these people?
Not very well. They live up the street from me.
How long have you lived there?
About a year.
How long have you lived in your house?
A year.
And who do you live with, Miss Cole?
I live with my boyfriend, Derek Nesbitt.
When did this incident occur?
It was August 21st of 2006 at 9:30 p.m.
Tell me what happened.
I had just dropped my boyfriend off at work, and I was on my way home, and I turned onto our street. They live on like the second house on the street, and the chair came and hit my window and kind of rolled down my car, and I swerved over, pulled over, and got out. And I was angry and scared at the same time. I was 6 months pregnant at the time. And I asked him if he had anything else to throw at my effing truck. And they were just screaming at me to slow down. And I got back in my truck, and I told them I was going to let my boyfriend handle it because I'm not a confrontational kind of person.
Good.
So,
very smart.
So I got back in my car. I went home and called the police. The officer came to my home and asked me to drive around to their house. I had my sister and her friend with me at the time. And we went around there, and me and I believe it's his father and the officer were just looking at my vehicle when I'm not sure how many people were there. More than 5, 6 people were in the street with my sister and her friend arguing and cursing. And I got so overwhelmed with them yelling, calling me a criminal. I could have hit their children or their pets or...
You think you were going too fast?
I do not. I had just turned a corner, so I don't believe I was speeding, no.
Okay. Do you work, Miss Cole?
I do. Right now I'm on maternity leave, though.
All right, young man. Why don't you tell me about what happened on August 21st?
Well, we were sitting outside, and we were
Who was sitting outside?
Me and everybody seen here. And I had some friends over because we were going to go ride.
Riding where?
Ride my bike. Just ride around town. And she comes hauling around the corner. She doesn't even lose any speed around the corner. And before, when she went down the street first, she was going pretty fast, and we all yelled at her to slow down. And then on our way back, you know, about 20, 30 minutes later, she comes hauling around the corner, loses no speed at all, and I'm sitting in a chair, and my reaction is just to throw it.
Well, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's outrageous. It's very simple. I wish they were all so simple. If you think she's speeding, she's not doing the right thing, call the police. And if you think she's acting in an irresponsible manner, send her a letter that she's endangering people in the street. But you don't pick up an object and throw it at her. What if you had a gun in your hand? Would you have shot her?
No.
Well, what if you threw a chair at her and she lost control of her car and went into a tree and got hurt?
But what if it was my friends on the bike, or me on the bike, or my little cousin?
They weren't! You were sitting on your porch, in your chair. But what if you threw a chair at her car and she lost control of her car and swerved off and went into somebody's porch where they were sitting on their porch? You know whose fault that would be?
Mine.
Right. We don't have vigilantes here. You ever been in trouble with the law before? Look at me. Have you ever been in trouble with the law before?
No, not a big trouble.
Not a big trouble?
No.
What kind of little trouble?
Just like curfew.
What does that mean, like curfew?
Just being out like 10 minutes past curfew.
Right. You think I believe that? Can I see pictures of the truck?
Yes, ma'am.
I just have a couple of things to ask. First of all, we were sitting in the driveway, not on a porch.
I don't care if you're sitting on the driveway or the porch or in your
We've
attic.
already asked her plenty of times as she was driving down our street to slow down.
How have you asked her, Mr. Moser?
Well, yelling at her while
That's not asking her.
It is asking her.
No, Mr. Moser.
Okay, we're telling her.
No, Mr. Moser. What you do is you write her a letter.
We didn't know where she lived.
Then you call the police.
We
and you
did.
Give them, when?
We called the police the very first time. They said that the only thing you can get is a license plate number.
So why didn't you do that?
We didn't. She's going too fast.
Oh, Mr. Moser, that's a lot of baloney.
Well, okay.
That's a lot of baloney, sir.
I-
Because, listen to me, if you saw this lady time and time again coming past your house, and she lives a block away from where you live, then you go and look for her car in the year that she's been living there. So don't give me a lot of baloney.
She lives behind another house.
When was the last time, sir, that you followed the car to try to get a license plate to give the police?
I'm
Which
not
is
a
what
cop.
they said.
That's not my job.
No, but it's your son's job to throw a chair at the
It's
car.
her job to be responsible for the vehicle.
It's not your job to police her, Mr. Moser. That's not your job.
Right.
Your job is to police your own children.
And I was doing that.
You weren't policing your children.
Well, someone needs to police her.
That's the job of the police,
Well,
not your
you're asking me
16-year-old
to follow
son.
her.
Oh, you're an idiot. No wonder he threw a chair at
So
her.
he's an idiot too, then.
Well, he is, certainly. The apple don't fall far from the tree, Mr. Moser.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If he threw a chair at her car and she was killed, you would be visiting him in state's prison. And if you don't get that, I can't do anything about it. You're too old and too thick.
And later today,
Who are the witnesses?
They're neighbors across the street from them.
You live across the street from them?
Yes.
My sympathies.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carrie Cole claims neighbor Justin Snoke threw a chair at her car while she was driving down the street. Justin says Carrie was driving like a maniac.
Listen to me very carefully, sir. If she's doing the wrong thing, it's not the right of a citizen to do any more than report the action to the police. It is not the right of a citizen to pick up a chair and throw it at her car.
Okay.
Do you understand?
I
Let me give
understand
you
that.
another example, sir. Let us say you're standing over an overpass with a large boulder, and you see someone going 85 miles an hour in a 55-mile zone. You think that you have the right to drop that boulder on their car?
No.
Why not? That's your theory. Your theory is you're endangering people, and therefore I have the right to protect my family. You think your son would have the right to do that?
Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. We were playing ball out in the street. And
No, you were not. That's a lie. That is a bold-faced lie.
No, because listen, the very first time this lady came down our street, we were playing ball in the middle of the street. She did not slow down for us at all. We grabbed the kids.
That's not true, Yana.
Shut a second. Of course it's not true.
Okay.
He's making it up as he's going along. Making it up as he's going along. But on the way home, he's sitting with his behind in a chair. Wasn't dangerous.
The incident playing the ball was not on the same time.
Several times for 3 months to slow down.
Call the police.
We did.
You
on the
don't
night of the
throw
incident.
a chair.
The night of the incident, before the chair was thrown.
Just a second. Would you do me a favor? Go and tell him I've had enough of him, please. I've told him. I had enough. Mr. Moser, listen to me. You're wrong. And if you don't get it, I feel sorry for you. And if your son's broken curfew before, and I just have a sense, right here, based on my experience, that a 10-minute curfew violation isn't the only difficulty you've had with him, sir.
He's never been a problem.
Well, I guarantee you. Father like you, he's gonna be.
Well.
Can I have an estimate of the damage, please?
I also have a police report if you would like to see it.
No, I don't have to see it.
Would you like to see the letter from the police officer that responded to the incident?
No, I would not.
Even it states everything that she stated at the time of the accident.
Listen to me very carefully, sir. I don't have to hear any hearsay or look at any hearsay. It's as simple a case as I would want to try 30 times a day. If she was speeding, that's not what I'm here for. What I'm here for is your son's act in picking up a chair and throwing it at her moving car. That he cannot do. And if you don't get it, I can't help you, sir. You've reached this age in your life when you are beyond redemption and beyond help. Say nothing else. The case, as far as you're concerned, is over. She may have done the wrong thing. I am not here to judge that. That is up to the police.
We did that night.
Here's right here.
Put it down. You don't get it.
You just got to make a statement that the police are doing their job. Well, then read what the police did for his job.
I don't know how I can make it any more plain to you, sir. If your son threw a chair at her car and she lost control of the car and she were killed, he would have been charged with manslaughter. Do you understand that?
I understand.
Do you understand that? Whether she was speeding, whether she was coking up in the car, whether she was drinking. If he threw a chair at her car and her car went out of control and she was killed, you would be visiting him in state's prison. And if you don't get that, I can't do anything about it. You're too old and too thick. How much did it cost you to fix the car?
$932.
Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The damage that they're asking for is not all the damage. Her window was up. How do you damage a seatbelt when the window's up?
I was 6 months pregnant at the time. It could have been much worse, and thank goodness it wasn't.
I was in the wrong, you're right, but I mean, I still believe, what if it was my little cousin?
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Carey versus Taylor. Step forward.
24-year-old Matthew Carey is suing the boyfriend of his child's mother, 21-year-old Brian Taylor, for vandalizing his truck. Brian claims Matthew showed up at his house looking for a fight.
Mr. Carey, Mr. Taylor, according to your complaint, is the current boyfriend of your ex-girlfriend. And you and your ex-girlfriend have a child together, a little girl.
Yes, we do.
According to your complaint, you were at your ex-girlfriend's house in order to drop your daughter off, and Mr. Taylor lost his cool and damaged your car. Mr. Taylor says he had no business being there and denies causing any damage to your car. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Taylor, how long have you been with Mr. Carey's former girlfriend?
About a year and a half.
You have a child together?
Yes, ma'am.
How old is the child?
5 months.
How many people live in your home?
Me, my fiance, our kids, and
How many kids?
2.
The daughter that she shares with Mr. Carey
Yes,
and
ma'am.
your child.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you work?
No, I don't.
How do you support yourself?
They support me.
Who's they?
My fiance and her family.
Why?
Because she goes to school, and I watch the kids.
How old are you?
21.
In whose house do you live?
Her grandmother's.
Who else lives there?
Her grandmother and her brother.
How old is your fiance?
21.
She didn't work either.
No, full-time student.
No wonder everyone wants to come to America. How old are you, sir?
24 years old.
You work?
Yes, I do.
Who do you work for?
Construction company.
How old is your daughter?
Almost 3.
Pay child support?
Yes.
How much?
$40 a week. And I take her 3 days, 4 days a week.
Who do you make the payments to?
Maria.
Directly?
Yep.
That's not true, Your Honor. It's not $40 a week. It's $40 a month if I'm lucky.
Don't worry about him. Worry about yourself. Get a job.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
We're not talking about some prehistoric theory here. We're talking about how civilized human beings behave, not people who have too much time on their hands.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Matthew Carey claims his ex's new boyfriend, Brian Taylor, vandalized his truck during a custody exchange.
Okay, tell me about this incident when it happened, sir.
It was on 9/14. I've never been to Ariana's school before to pick her up. I had a day off of work, and I called Maria and told her that I wanted to come and get my daughter, meet the teachers for the first time. I went to go pick up my daughter.
And she said okay.
Yeah, she met me at the school.
Stand up, please. You met Mr. Carey at the school?
Yes.
Okay, what's your last name?
Atherinis.
Okay, what happened?
I picked her up about 30 to 40 minutes later. My boss had called me from work, asked me if I could come in on an emergency call. So I called Maria up and said that if I could drop her off.
What does she go to, daycare?
It's like the pre-K.
Well, if she's 3 years old, she doesn't go to pre-kindergarten.
It's like a Head Start program.
How many days a week does she go?
4.
So why doesn't he work? He just told me he stays home to watch the kids.
Well, he watches his own son. We have a son.
Why doesn't he work at night?
It's my family time, ma'am.
You can have family time as long as you're employed.
It's hard when she goes to school all day and I would work all night. That would be hard to have family time.
Whatever.
Mr. Taylor, that's a joke, so you should have thought of that before you made a baby. Sure. Having your family time.
Sure.
What people do when they have babies is they get a job and they support them. I don't support them. He doesn't support them. The state doesn't support them. And I'm absolutely positive if I looked in your bank account, I'd find out that somebody else was supporting your child other than the grandmother. Would that be a fair statement, sir?
No, ma'am.
No? Guarantee it. Head Start is a program that we pay for. Not you, because you don't work. Okay. So you called her and told her you were coming over. So far, is that correct? Yes. How long did it take you to get there?
I told her, give me about 20 minutes, I'll call you when I'm on my way. So I called after the 20 minutes. He answered the phone the second time, and he said, no, she's not here. Don't the F word, call here again. So, it's not the first time that he did something like that. So what I did is I drove around the block, seen that her car was there, pulled up in the driveway and beeped the horn. And she came outside. She went to my car passenger back door, grabbed my daughter. He came out the door and just came to my window and just started doing a number on my vehicle.
What kind of a number was he doing on your vehicle?
At first, he punched the window, and then he just started kicking the door, trying to get me to come out my vehicle to fight him.
No, that's not true.
That's a lie.
What did you go outside for, Mr. Taylor?
Because he called me, threatening me that he wanted to fight with me. So what happened was he came to the house. I came outside. I noticed he had hammers.
What did you go, just a second. What did you go outside for?
Because he came to my house. He had just called me.
Just a second. What did you go outside for?
Because he showed up at my house.
Call the police. If somebody called my house and said, I'm coming over to your house to beat you up, you call the police and you say, some nut who used to go with my fiancé is coming to the house with a 3-year-old child and he wants to beat me up. You don't go outside because it's clear to me he came with her daughter and his daughter. She came out and she got the child.
His intentions weren't just to drop off the child, though. They were to fight.
That's not
Just
true,
a second. Aren't you getting what I'm saying to you? You got your daughter. He goes into your house. He closes the door, goes over to the phone, and he calls the police. And he says, some nut is in my driveway, and he wants to fight with me. He doesn't go outside to the car. You get it?
Yes.
I mean, we're not talking about some prehistoric theory here. We're talking about how civilized human beings behave, not people who have too much time on their hands.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Can I see pictures of the car, please?
Yeah, I have pictures and I also have witnesses and estimates.
Who are the witnesses? Are the witnesses relatives, friends?
They're neighbors across the street from them.
I'd like to hear them, please. Tell me your name.
Antoinette Degner.
Degner. And you, sir?
I'm Don Degner.
You live across the street from them?
Yes.
Yes.
My sympathies. You want to tell me what you observed on September 14th?
We were in our house, and we had the door open. It was a nice day. And I heard somebody outside ranting and raving, get the F out of the car and all kinds of bad language. So I stood up and looked out the window, and I seen this gentleman over here, and he just started punching and kicking the car. And Matthew went to pull back out of the driveway, and he gave the car another kick and put a nice dent in the front quarter panel. And I don't know any of these kids. So I ain't biased, against any of them. I don't know any of them.
And the baby was outside.
The baby was outside?
Yes, the baby was 4 feet from his truck.
Who was holding the baby?
Nobody. The baby
Maria
was standing
trying
there
to
first.
calm it down. And Mr. Taylor grabbed the baby and put the baby up on the porch, and Maria brought the baby inside.
Thank you very much. You may be seated.
Nobody said nothing about the hammer that he tried getting out of the vehicle with.
He never got out of the vehicle.
Just a second.
I didn't let him.
Listen to me. He damaged his car. You have to find something more constructive to do with your time than sitting around the house, doing nothing. Find a daycare for your son and go get a job. You made him. You support him. She doesn't work. You don't work. The state gives you enough stipends, whether it be from Head Start or WIC or whatever else it is, so that you don't have to do anything but sit home in her grandmother's house and be supported by other people. That's not the real world, sir. The real world is if you're old enough to make a baby, you're old enough to support it. How much did it cost you to fix your car?
$1,300. And I have proof that I had to take off of work for the window.
How was the window broken? Now the window's broken.
Be quiet.
Go up and down. The window. How was the window damaged?
There are ways to express your affection for someone, madam, other than having children. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out. This is long. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. and Mrs. Urino, you and the defendant are neighbors.
Yes.
You built your home with the expectation of being able to run a business out of your home.
Yes.
And that business was selling used cars.
Yes, ma'am.
You invested a substantial amount of money building driveways and paving areas in order to comply with city regulations.
Yes, ma'am.
Thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yes.
And when you applied for your permit to sell these used cars from your property, according to you, the defendant, as well as other neighbors, objected and were very vocal about their opposition to you selling used cars from your house, as a result of which you were denied a permit. And that started the trouble.
Your Honor, we weren't denied. We were approved first.
And then denied because of him and the neighbors.
So first you were approved, and then because of the opposition, denied.
One guy showed up and
appealed.
Appealed it.
And who was that?
Another neighbor.
Another neighbor.
Good.
Yes. He's next.
Now that started the difficulty with you and the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the things that you were particularly angry about is that this particular defendant runs a carpet cleaning business from his home.
Yes, ma'am.
So you say, how can he object to my business when he runs a business out of his home?
Yes, ma'am.
And then all kinds of things started. You claimed that he was dumping some stuff from his carpet cleaning business into the town sewers, and you were taking photographs of that, and arguments ensued, and you want damages because of the constant harassment by the defendants. Now, who's going to speak? You
I'll
are.
speak.
I assumed you would.
Yes.
So, Mrs. Urena, I'd like you to tell me, what is the basis for your lawsuit?
Okay, the basis for our lawsuit is harassment.
Give me the date.
The date is June 7th.
Okay, what happened on June 7th?
He came over to our property. We had taken a picture of him because it was like about 11:30, quarter to midnight. It was the night that we got denied.
It was the night that you were denied your permit?
Yes.
So what did you do?
We were out riding around because we were upset. Okay.
No, they were out.
I'll get to you in a second. All right. So you were very upset.
Yes,
Permit's
we were
denied.
upset. So we went to the store, we're coming home, and we see all this commotion behind our home. This man has run his business for 2 years. We never said a word, never complained. Well, we had it up to here. We went around the corner. I snapped 2 pictures of his. He had 5 employees out there, his 11-year-old daughter, 3 of his vans, a tow truck. I've got a photo of it. He had them all out there in the front yard, making all kinds of racket. So, snapped the 2 pictures, didn't say a word to anybody, went back to my house around the block. He comes skidding around the corner so fast. He starts cussing at my husband. He didn't get out in the beginning. He just had the window rolled down. So he started cussing. My husband got upset because they were cussing at each other, right? So he gets out of the van, and I thought they were going to fight. So I'm backing up towards the house. Meanwhile, I had my camera in my hand. I'm like this, you know. So I back up. He gets out of the van, and he's saying, "You ever come over my house?" He says, "On my street," he said, "I'll blow your heads off." I mean, but he said the word. So I'm looking at him. So anyway, so I thought they were, shut up.
Shh.
Up, sorry. Excuse me.
You'll have a turn.
All right.
Go ahead.
So we were standing there. He gets out of the van. He starts.
He's already out of the
he's
van, and they're cursing at each other. Listen to me,
they're
Miss
cursing.
Urena.
Okay.
They're out of the van, and they're both cursing at each other.
Right. So now, I thought they were going to fight. And all he did was just stand there and kept yelling. So I snapped 2 pictures, which are the pictures I have here, showing my husband in the van and him angry, going away from my property because he was leaving. And then he skids back around the corner. Sure enough, half hour later, here come the police, tick, 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 at my door. We welcomed him in, explained to them what happened. They told my husband, "We're going to write you a citation." My husband says, "I'm not signing anything."
Just a second.
Okay.
What were they writing your husband a citation for?
They said that Ray Long told them that my husband punched in the door of his van.
And your husband said what?
My husband said, "I am not going to sign anything because I didn't do any damage to your van."
Right.
To the van. And he asked to see the van, and the police officer said no. They said, "Wait till the next day, and then you can see the van."
So they wanted him to sign an acknowledgement that he received the citation.
Right.
And your husband refused to do that, so what happened to him?
They put him in handcuffs in my living room, took him out for about now this all happened before the ticket was written.
I don't care.
Okay.
Listen, that's between you and the police department.
Right.
The idea was they wanted to give him a ticket. He had to sign for it. Your husband said, "I'm not signing anything." They said, "Oh, yes, you are."
Yes, you are.
They put him in handcuffs. Put your hand down. Your wife's not letting you speak yet.
Okay.
They took him outside, and they kept him outside. You blame him for that.
Yes, the officer went back around the corner, and then with him wrote the citation, and he signed it.
Right, of course, because your husband wouldn't sign the ticket.
Okay, he did sign the ticket. My husband did sign it.
Eventually.
Actually,
when they came back.
Mr. Urena, if you had signed the citation when the officer had given it to you, the officer would have left your house. Is that right?
Yes. No,
of course. Oh, yes, he would have. Would have said, you have to respond to this?
Ma'am,
it wasn't there.
Can I speak now? Actually, they weren't writing the citation. They came over for me to sign it. They said that he was going to write the citation. That he was citing me, not the police officer.
Let me read you from your complaint. When my husband refused to sign the ticket, he was placed in handcuffs and held for 45 minutes.
Yes, that was my, yes, okay.
That's what you said?
Yes, that's what I said.
Well, that's what happened. All right, what's next?
All the charges were dismissed against my husband because I took pictures of the van, dated pictures from the 7th through the 14th. There was no damage on that van. He had 2 pictures that he showed the judge that showed damage to the van. When he left my property, there was no damage on that van. So I don't know who damaged it, but it wasn't us. And all charges were dismissed. I've got right here. And also he got all the neighbors to lie for him.
Don't say he got neighbors to lie unless you have witnesses here.
I have
you
proof.
Can't. No.
Timesheets.
Unless you have witnesses here, you can't say he got people to lie for him. All right. What's the next harassment?
Okay. And we had put in also because he was complaining about our property, saying that because we are Mexican, that we are running a chop shop, and our car lot was supposed to be like a front to cover up for a drug ring.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Pauline and Richard Ureno say neighbor Raymond Long lied under oath, causing them to be denied a business permit.
Show me where he said that.
He said it verbally. He wouldn't put it in writing.
Where did he say it verbally?
He said it at the public response office.
Just a minute. Just 1 second.
Okay.
Were you present?
No.
Then you can't tell me that. That's hearsay.
Okay.
All the neighbors say that, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Show me a neighbor.
The neighbors aren't here.
Right.
Okay, so just the constant harassment. I've got pictures of police in front of my house that when they served the pictures when the police came to serve us for the order of protection. I mean, these things that were things on the internet.
One second. Who filed for an order of protection?
He did. That's the affidavit with the order of protection right here, where he states, and I can verify.
This is his affidavit for an order of protection.
His affidavit.
That I will see.
Okay.
He accused me of taking pictures of his daughter. I didn't even know he had a daughter.
This is my timesheets to prove where I was on those nights.
I didn't even know this man had a wife. The whole time we seen this
we never
man
see him hardly.
behind us, we seen him up by himself in a house. Okay, I didn't know this man was married. I got kids, teenagers, that I got 3 teenagers, and he's accusing me or my wife. We're not even sure which one.
Of his daughter.
That we were taking pictures of his daughter when we don't even know. We didn't even know that he had a daughter, and I don't know what he really meant by that either. So he did nothing but lie on everything.
All right. Now, what happened with the order of protection? Did you receive an order of protection, sir?
Yes, I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Can I see?
It was a temporary order of protection for 30 days until the trial.
Well, was the trial completed?
Yes, it was. And they eventually did drop the case.
Okay.
I actually brought the order of protection itself.
Can I see it?
We got 2 citations, Your Honor. One was dismissed, and one was eliminated. In other words, we didn't have to go to court. They just called us on the phone one day, and they said it was eliminated.
Okay. Now,
we had this problem with this.
Let's take the first basis for your suit here today, which is that he conspired with other neighbors to deny you an opportunity to earn a living from your home by complaining to the zoning board or whoever issues a permit, thereby causing them to reverse their original order, granting you a permit.
Right.
They have an absolute right to do that.
Yes.
Whether he did it or not. If somebody lives in a residential community and feels as if one of their neighbors is doing something that is going to devalue their property or impede their safety.
To complain, Your Honor, but not to lie.
Not to lie.
Not
Just
to
a
lie.
second.
And
Just
put
a
it
second.
down on paper and sign.
just a second. I haven't seen a lie. And if you want to show me a lie...
I'll show you a lie. It's
let me
in your hands.
What?
The affidavit there that is with Justice Court that he filed, that he just told you he filed.
I'm not talking about the order of protection, madam. I'm talking about your business, which really started this whole problem.
Right.
Show me where he lied with regard to his complaint.
He wouldn't put it in writing.
Then you have no proof that he lied with regard to his complaint that he didn't want you to sell used cars out of the front yard of your home.
Now, can I say something else?
No,
Please?
you have to answer my question, not say something else.
Okay.
You have no proof that he lied.
Right. Can I show you the area that we live in?
Show me the area.
Okay. This is the area where we live. There are homes. Here, that one, this one. So there's really no complaint for him.
We built there, Your Honor, for one purpose.
We got 7 lanes of highway in front of us.
To start a business there, okay? That's the purpose we built there. And everything's up to commercial code. We went and tried to...
Then what you do is you have to appeal. That has nothing to do with your neighbors. Where is your home on this street?
No,
Hold on, I've got mine. Mine is right here. This
That's
is
the
mine.
back of it.
This is mine.
I've got their
Two-story
home.
house.
Right here.
With all, they sell cars anyway.
Oh, now you're accusing us
Shut
of
up,
doing
I don't
something?
want to hear.
Liar.
This is not over. We're going back again.
See, this is another threat. He threatens me all the time.
Absolutely, I can see
All the
that.
time.
You got a hot head.
Yeah.
Man, he's threatened me.
Just a minute. Listen, I want to tell you something. I, living in that community, could understand why some people would be disturbed by having your private house with all of these old used cars in front of them in the parking lot. He has a right to complain that he doesn't like the way this looks in his community. You have a right to bring it through the administrative process. What you did was you got really angry.
Angry.
And what you did, you got really angry. And it was, I assume, vented at Mr. Long.
Yes.
Because Mr. Long also ran a business out of his house.
Right.
All right.
Bottom line, Your Honor, he's jealous. That's the
Of
bottom
us.
line.
He's
Okay?
jealous of us.
He's
Just
just
a
plain
second.
jealous.
Bottom line is, you have no lawsuit.
I know we don't have a lawsuit.
So what are you doing here for?
Well, because we thought, because he put us through all of this, I mean,
We've been
he
going,
won't stop.
We've been
He
going
doesn't
through him
stop.
on
He
this
would
for about
stop.
a year.
Listen to me. Whatever happened that night, you see, you don't have to say a word. Yet. Maybe never. What happened that night was you were angry.
Your Honor.
Shut up. Quiet. You got a hot head.
You want to see a lie? I'll show you a lie. The ticket, it says that there was a hole in the van. You show me a hole in the van. Where's a hole in that van? My husband never punched a hole in his van. That is a lie.
Did the
He
police
damaged-
return? Just quiet. Did the police return to your home that evening?
Yes.
Did you, in fact, show them any damage to the van?
Yes, I did.
What did you show them? Can I see it, please?
Now we,
Your Honor,
Yes.
the damage to the van is long gone. It was a malicious destruction of property that the city prosecutor found enough evidence to pursue. It was dropped. I let it go. It's $250. I don't even care about it anymore. I just would like the Uranians to leave me alone.
Your Honor.
How did... Quiet. Tell me what happened.
As they had been doing for about a month before, coming by weekly, and I have the events all in writing, but weekly, taking pictures of everything that I do. I was getting
Stop
tired.
flipping pages.
I was getting tired of it. And this was basically the last straw, 12 o'clock at night. I have a problem with one of my vans that gets towed home. They jump out of bed and drive over and start snapping pictures right there in front of my property.
Okay.
And it's annoying.
So you went back, you were
I went
hot
over
to...
to talk to them. From the second I drove up, Mr. Urena was in my face. And in the passenger door looking through, I had the window down. And yes, the conversation got heated, and that's when he punched the door. He was in such a rage, he might not even remember punching the door. Bottom line is, I don't even care about the dent anymore. It's...
You just want to be left alone.
Just leave me alone.
Your Honor, now can I say something? I can prove right here that he's lying with that picture.
Go ahead.
These pictures were dated. His picture is not dated. Okay? These pictures were taken 3 days after he claimed that there was a damage.
7 days.
Okay?
14th.
Now, he claimed that I punched that van. Okay? There was no. If you look at that picture, I mean, I'm not a body man, and I'm not an attorney, okay? But I can tell you this. There's not a punch with my fist on that van. That's what he claimed.
He has nothing in his hand.
That's what he claimed, okay? This is the picture. We took the picture 3 days later, and there was no damage to that van.
What do you think, he did it himself? Yes,
I don't know.
Just a second. You think the police wrote out a ticket? Listen to me.
We don't know,
You
ma'am.
think we don't know?
We
The
don't know.
police
We don't
wrote-
know.
You didn't let me finish.
Wait.
Okay.
Hothead.
Okay.
Hothead.
I'm not.
Oh, yes, you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
We both are.
Oh, sure you are.
Yeah.
You're a hothead.
Both of us.
Well, just look at the evidence, ma'am. That's all you got to see. And that tells you who's lying and who's not lying.
No, it doesn't. And there's no date on his pictures. Mine are dated.
Mine are dated.
Up to the 14th,
I don't know
7
what
days
the
after.
police did.
We're going to find out when we get home.
Hey.
Yes.
No, ma'am. We're not.
You can change a date.
See, it's never going to end. It's never
You
going to
can
end.
change
No, it
a
won't.
date on a camera.
My originals are dated.
You're not listening to me.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Your complaint was that he caused your husband to be handcuffed and held. Your husband caused himself to be handcuffed and held because your husband refused to sign the ticket. They said, hands together, we're taking you into custody. You were humiliated in front of your wife, maybe your family, maybe your children. That's your fault. But I'm going to tell you something. If you're going to spend your time in a vendetta against this man and your other neighbors, you're going to diminish the quality of your lives and theirs. He's not moving.
Neither
I
am
am
I.
sorry that you invested your money anticipating that you could have a business there, finding that you can't have a business there.
No,
and
we can't. We
spending
are
the-
C1. We are zone C1. Yes, ma'am, we can.
You can't have this kind of,
That kind of
business there.
Right.
So you have a frustration. Get out!
Of Lyle versus Rodriguez.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Lyle, it is your complaint that the defendant, who's a tenant of yours, assaulted you. You want your medical bills paid. You want damages for pain and suffering. Mr. Rodriguez says that you precipitated this altercation and that you tried to have him evicted, and you had no basis for that. What kind of unit do you rent to Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Lyle?
Your Honor, I rent a one-bedroom apartment.
How many units are in the building?
There is 4 units in this building.
When did you lease him the apartment?
I leased the apartment to Mr. Rodriguez on March 12th of this year.
And what's the term of the lease?
It's a 1-year lease, Your Honor.
Could you tell me the date of this altercation?
The altercation was on March 26th.
Tell me what happened.
On March 26th, I responded to Mr. Rodriguez's apartment where there had been a plumbing problem.
Is that correct so far? You had a plumbing problem on March 26th.
Yes, that I.
The answer is either yes or no. You had
Yes.
a plumbing problem.
Yes, I did.
And you reported the plumbing problem.
To the apartment manager.
And did the apartment manager see to it that a plumber arrived at your
Yes.
premises? Were you present when the plumber arrived?
Yes, and those are the only 2 people that
Just
were there.
answer my question.
Okay.
You were present when the property manager arrived with the plumber?
Yes.
Okay. Now continue, Mr. Lyle.
I responded
On the 26th.
to the apartment.
Okay.
Responding to the apartment, I observed, yes, there was a plumbing problem. And while I was standing there, I observed over in the front room area on a coffee table what appeared to me to be a bag of narcotics.
What kind of narcotics?
I believed it was marijuana.
Okay. So you saw a bag of marijuana on a table.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I walked over, seized the bag.
Why?
Because it was marijuana, and I didn't allow marijuana in my apartment complex.
You can't do that, Mr. Lyle. You understand that you can't do that. You have no right to take any property out of his apartment. You may have the right to call the police and say, I see something in plain view, but you have no right to take any property out of his apartment. Similarly, if you walked into his apartment and you saw a gun or a rifle, you couldn't take that because he may have had a license for the gun. You have no right to take property. You can report it to the police, but you cannot resort to self-help.
Okay.
Okay, so you took the bag of marijuana, the suspected marijuana, which turned out to be marijuana, correct, sir?
Yes.
Okay, and what did you do with it?
I picked it up and was holding it in my left hand and was standing in a doorway. Just kind of had the bag of narcotics or marijuana in my left hand and had my right hand just bracing myself very leisurely, casually in the doorway like this. And shortly thereafter, Mr. Rodriguez and a friend of his came in the apartment. He started screaming and yelling at me that I was not allowed to be in his apartment. What are you doing here? At that time, I said to him, Christopher, you know, prior to you moving in, we had a conversation where I told you I didn't rent to anybody that smoked marijuana, had anything to do with drugs. You advised me at that time you had nothing to do with narcotics. You didn't smoke marijuana. And I said, listen, you know, I've had numerous complaints from my other tenants that you smoking dope, the smell of marijuana emitted throughout the building. You were causing nothing but problems in the building. At that time, he kept inching closer and closer to me, and I was very surprised. He attacked me.
How did he attack you?
He just, what's the word I can use? Bull rushed me, charged me. He drove me back about 10 feet into a refrigerator. And as he drove me back, he kind of turned me to the left a little, or to the right a little bit. And I either hit the refrigerator handle or the side of the refrigerator door. And I bounced off the refrigerator door, came back at him, landed on top of him, and I started yelling for my plumber, Kim, and my property manager, who was also in the building at that time, to come on out and help me. And he was able to grab the marijuana back from me. And I yelled at Kim and my property manager to get the marijuana away from them. And they did. And I said, look, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. I'm going to file a police report. So I took the bag of marijuana, left the location, went down and got in my car, backed it out of the parking spot.
Where's the marijuana at this time?
At that time, it's sitting on my passenger seat.
All right, so you were stealing his property. That time you were stealing his property.
I guess I was stealing his property, Your Honor.
You were, Mr. Lyle, because I read Mr. Rodriguez's answer, and unless you are prepared to contradict that, Mr. Rodriguez says that he has a prescription for medical marijuana. That's what he says, and I assume that he's prepared to prove that to me today.
Yes.
So if he has a prescription for medical marijuana, even if he didn't have a prescription, you couldn't take it. But if he did have it lawfully, you were stealing property that he had in his lawful possession. And not only that, but you got your plumber to help you.
I guess, Your Honor, we're just a couple of bad citizens.
No, you're not a bad citizen, Mr. Lyle. You're here in a court of law. Now, Mr. Rodriguez retrieved his bag of marijuana from your car, because I read your complaint and I read his answer. So far, is that correct?
It's correct.
Did you? That's all I'm asking.
It wasn't a bag.
Whatever it was.
And plus, it wasn't on my
Just
coffee.
a second.
Okay.
I didn't get to you yet.
Okay, no problem.
Just answer my questions.
Okay.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. William Lyle claims his tenant, Christopher Rodriguez, assaulted him during an argument. Christopher is countersuing for harassment.
Now, Mr. Lyle, we're here in a court of law, and you're asking me to make a judgment on whether or not Mr. Rodriguez had the right to prevent you from leaving his home with his property and to exert any force to do that. That's what you're asking me to decide.
At that time, I had not told him that I was going to leave the apartment with his property.
You had it in your hand, sir. And you, in fact, not only did leave with it, but you had managed to get it out of your hand. And you importuned two people to get it back, which suggests to me that you were intending to leave with it. So let's not play with each other. And I want you to understand something. I am very sympathetic from the perspective of a citizen, not a judge, but a citizen, that you have a 4-unit apartment complex. And I don't know whether you had complaints or not, but if Mr. Rodriguez has a prescription for medical marijuana, and he smokes it in his apartment. And he may have other people that come over who have similar prescriptions that smoke in his apartment. That smell wafts all over a 4-unit apartment complex. And there might be people, I would be one of them, who would be incensed at that. I want you to understand that.
I understand that, Your Honor.
So don't give me that I'm just a bad citizen.
I understand
according
that,
to
Your
you.
Honor.
This is a legal place. And if Mr. Rodriguez can establish to me that he had a prescription for this, and of course he's going to tell me why he has a prescription for it, right?
Yes.
Then he had the right to stop you from stealing his property. And if he pushed you into the refrigerator, that's what he did to get his property back. And you called 2 other people to get the marijuana back from him. All very bad judgment, Mr. Lyle, on your part. Because if you're a landlord, if you have a tenant who's violating any conditions of the lease, you take him to court to have him evicted, which I assume you did.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
And that was denied.
Yes, it was, Your Honor.
Well, that's unfortunate. So now, that's unfortunate for you, but that's what the law is.
Yes.
All right.
You know, Your Honor, someplace, somewhere down the road of justice, somebody's got to hold this guy responsible for something. I've got a 4-unit building that he and his posse are holding hostage.
Yeah. Mr. Lyle, hey. Mr. Rodriguez, look
Excuse
at me.
me, Your Honor, excuse me.
Look at me.
Yes.
You understand that I have a certain sympathetic ear towards what he's telling me.
Yes, I do.
I mean, I would like to be able to pick up the phone and call the other 3 tenants that are in the building and find out if any of them have complained to him because of the smell of your marijuana. It's not particularly relevant, but it bothers him that that kind of activity is going on in your home. He should have been more careful about who he rented to. Now, how long have you had a prescription for medical marijuana?
I've had it since 2 years ago, but my new one is 1/30/09. That's the date of this statement. Because
I'd like to see it, please.
I got an accident when I was a kid, and so I kind of have a little neck injury. So, because my head kind of went through the windshield when I was like out of high school.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Rodriguez?
I'm in sales. I'm a sales representative.
How old are you, Mr. Rodriguez?
38.
And when was this accident that you had?
There was 2, one in 91 and 92, where my head went through the windshield and I basically was like dead on arrival. So I've had like a...
Don't tell me what you have, Mr. Rodriguez.
Okay. Well, I have a neck injury.
I heard you had a neck injury twice.
Okay. And then I got prescribed to be on like anti-inflammatory medication, but I don't really like to pop pills, you know, because I'm an athlete, I'm a surfer. So I don't really like how it feels.
You're a surfer?
Yes.
Oh. Give this back to him. Mr. Lyle, I understand your frustration with him. I got it. This serious life-threatening condition that he has is, in my judgment, and I'm not a medical professional, but for somebody who surfs as a hobby.
Yeah.
It was moving around. It would seem to me you wouldn't do that if you had a serious neck condition that requires you to take prescribed cannabis.
Cannabis.
Cannabis. Yes. Whatever it is. Marijuana. Instead of taking an anti-inflammatory that might help you. So I want you to understand, Mr. Lyle, I have zero sympathy for him because I do believe that there are some people who have really serious medical conditions that can benefit during a course of serious treatment from the use of medical marijuana. Yeah. And then there are those people that abuse it. And there are those people that abuse it by prescribing it to people who abuse it. Yeah. And that's the problem. I'm speaking.
Okay.
Now, if your hobby is playing the piano or playing the violin, I might have a little more sympathy. But if your hobby of choice at age 38 with a serious neck injury is surfing, my sympathy level for you is about 0. You got where I'm coming from, Mr. Rodriguez.
I understand.
Mr. Lyle, unfortunately, I have to dismiss your case, just as the housing court judge dismissed your case, and probably with equal frustration, at least I hope, because you couldn't do what you did. And Mr. Rodriguez had a right to retrieve his property and use lawful means to do that. I mean, he couldn't take a knife out and stab you to get his marijuana back or take out a gun and shoot you. But he had a right to try to get his property back, which he eventually did. Now, Mr. Rodriguez has a counterclaim because he says you've been harassing him. He's been harassing you, Mr. Rodriguez, because he'd like you out of his complex.
Okay.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. William Lyle claims his tenant, Christopher Rodriguez, assaulted him during an argument. Christopher is countersuing for harassment.
Mr. Rodriguez, if you were a nice person, you would go find a nice complex where you wouldn't be irritating other people and you wouldn't be irritating the landlord. But you don't have to do that, and he has to suffer with you until March.
He's not having to suffer whatsoever. I'm having to suffer.
Well, you don't have to suffer. There are 2 choices for you not to suffer. Either he sells his apartment building or you move.
Well, there's no...
Just a second. Okay. Those are the 2 choices.
I'm not moving because I've
That's right. So you're not moving. So stay there, and if you want to stay there and continue to do what you do, you'll live out the term of your lease, and then he'll get rid of you.
The case is that he lost in court, and he also lied in court, and he continues to lie in court.
Just a second. Listen to me. Okay. I don't care whether he rummaged through your closet or if he found the combination to your safe. Okay. It's not that I'm finding that because he saw this marijuana in plain sight, he was able to take it. Yeah. He wouldn't be able to take it if it was hanging from a chandelier in front of his nose. So whether he went in and looked through your closet or whether he saw it on a table, it's irrelevant. He had no right to take it.
Which I understand.
Hey, stop talking, sir.
Okay.
I'm telling you that if he tried to have you evicted because he believed that it was injurious to his property, that was his right. That's what a court is for. And if the judge in housing court wanted to impose some sort of punitive costs on him, I assume that the judge would have done that. I have no intention of doing that for you in this case. So take your sore neck.
Well, I haven't even got to explain my side of the story.
Just a second. I told him he was wrong. I'm dismissing his case. Why do you have to explain your story?
Because you're already judging me before you...
Just a second. Okay. I'm dismissing his case against you. You want to say something else, Mr. Rodriguez?
No, I do not, but I...
Very good. That's all. Out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's just not a very good person.
He's been harassing me.
Nobody in the building can stand the guy.
I get along with the neighbors.
He's a druggie.
I barely do it every once in a while.
He just won't leave.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Green versus Trotter. Step forward.
Valerie Green is suing her son's friend, 18-year-old Jesse Trotter, for breaking a door in her home. Jesse claims that Valerie's daughter is at fault.
Mrs. Green, is this your daughter?
Yes.
It is your claim that the defendant broke a door in your house. He was there with your daughter and this other young man. You weren't in the room when it happened, so you have no idea what happened. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. You. Perfect. Tell me your name.
Mike Numeraki.
Mike, how do you know the defendant?
He was my friend.
And how do you know this young lady?
She's my friend's sister.
Who was over at the greenhouse that day?
Jesse, Scott, Colleen, and I.
So there was one other person who's not here?
Yes.
Okay. Now I want you to tell me how the door got broken.
Well, Colleen got home and Colleen, her.
So the three boys were in the house?
Yes, sir.
What room?
We're in the living room.
What were you doing?
Just hanging out.
Is there a television there?
Yeah, there's television.
Was it on?
Yeah.
Try yes. I like it a lot better.
Okay.
Maybe if he could see me, he would be able to speak better. Now, Colleen was coming home.
Yes, ma'am.
So you went and hid behind the door.
Yeah.
What was your intention? To scare her?
Yes.
So what happened when she came in the door?
I grabbed her.
How did you grab her?
I had her hands behind her back.
Show me.
I had her like this, and then Jesse ran into Colleen.
How did he run into her?
He ran at her like a linebacker.
Yeah. And
then we smashed through the window of the door.
Okay, sit down. All right, Jesse. He's grabbed her from behind. And what did you do?
Well, I went to
No, don't look down.
I went to the other side of the room, acting like I was going to kick her.
Like you were going to kick her?
Yes. And I jumped in front of her, and she put her foot on my knee and pushed off of me, forcing her and Mike through the window.
So whose fault do you think that is?
Colleen's.
Hers?
Yes.
What, are you an idiot? Would the door have gotten broken if you hadn't gone to the other side of the room and pretended like you were going to kick her?
Probably not.
And not only were you on the other side of the room, but in order for her to put her foot up and push off you, you had to have gotten closer to her, right?
Yes. Yes.
So you ran closer to her.
Yes.
What was your intention? You were going to try to scare her too, so that she thought you were going to kick her?
Yes, ma'am.
How much was the door?
$412.
You didn't do anything terrible, Mr. Trotter. I mean, everybody was just messing around and being stupid. But your actions caused this door to break. I mean, if he grabbed her from behind, that wasn't going to hurt anybody except her. She may have complained about that. But then what you did was escalate the whole thing by making it appear as if you were going to hurt her.
Yeah.
And if she put her foot up in front of you and pushed off to get you away from her, that's what she should have done.
Yes, ma'am.
You owe Mrs. Green $412 to fix her door. You're lucky nobody was hurt. You got to be smarter. You're a big guy, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Easy. Goodbye. Have a happy day.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
I have two cases here. One is really a cross complaint. Mrs. Aton, we're going to deal with your case first.
Yes.
You and the defendant are Brownie troop leaders.
Yes.
Which is part of the Girl Scouts. And how long have you known each other?
Approximately 2 years.
How long have you both been troop leaders?
A year.
Everybody knows about brownie cookies. Your daughter and her troop would sell cookies. and you would turn the money over to Miss Davis to put in the bank.
Her daughter was also in the trip, too.
Yes. Give her the money, she had the bank account, she'd put the money in the bank account, and then when it was all over, you would write a check to the Girl Scout Council for the cookies. And it is your claim that you gave her a substantial amount of money.
Yes.
After the sale. It was not all deposited in the account.
Right.
As a result of which the Girl Scout Council met and said they couldn't decipher where this money was, but since they delivered these dozens of boxes of cookies to both of you, you would each be responsible for half of the money.
Right.
You are suing Miss Davis for the half that you had to pay.
Yes.
Because you said, I gave her the money.
Yes.
How much money do you claim you gave her?
I gave her a total of $984.
Did you give her this money all at one time?
Yes, I did. My daughter was with me when I did that.
Over what period of time had you accumulated this $984?
3 days.
Who opened the bank account?
Maureen did.
In whose name?
Both of ours.
How many times had deposits been made in that account?
There was 1, 2, 3.
Who made the deposits?
Maureen made 2, I made 1.
So out of the 3 deposits, you made 2?
I remember making 1. If there's 2 down there, then I made 2.
Let me see what you have.
I was not able to get a hold of the bank records. They were subpoenaed.
Now, it is your claim, Miss Davis.
Here.
It is your claim, Miss Davis, that she did not give you $984.
Exactly.
How much did she give you?
She came to my house after what we call the last booth sale they were selling outside one of the supermarkets. And what she did is she had borrowed my daughter's wagon to haul the cookies around with. She came to my house after it was done, excited that they were all gone. She handed me a pencil box full of money and asked me to deposit this money.
I asked you for a deposit slip.
Wait a second. Wait. Let her tell a story, and then I'll come back to you. Okay?
She had no idea how much money was in this box. My husband and I sat down.
So she gave you a box?
She gave me her daughter's pencil box where they had used to put the money out for the sale that they were doing. This was a 1-day sale, not a 3-day sale.
Yeah.
Then my husband and I sat and counted it, divided all the 1s by 20s, paper clipped them all, and that's what I deposited in the bank.
And do you know how much that was?
I believe it was $236.
Now, let's get to the box. Did you bring money in a box?
Yes.
Was the money in the box separated as to bill denomination?
I had put 20s, 10s, 5s, and 1s.
Are you sure?
Yes, because that was the only way to make easiest change.
How many people were involved in this sale?
Maureen was supposed to show up at the
she. No, how many people were actually involved with you in this sale on that day?
On that day, we had 1 other parent.
Now explain to me exactly how this worked. You set up outside a supermarket on a table?
We didn't have a table. We just had the wagon. The people said what kind they wanted. They gave the girls the cash. The girls gave it to me. I counted what needed to go back, and I handed it to the girls, and they handed it to their customer.
When do you claim, I want you to listen to me very carefully, was the last time you counted the money that you turned over to the defendant?
It was probably about 2 hours prior to us leaving. I wasn't sure what time we were going to leave.
Leave where?
Leave Sam Club's. We were there from 10 o'clock to like 4:30, 5 o'clock.
And you brought all the money with you for the 3 days?
All except for $207, which was in my wet bar. And I asked her for a deposit slip, and her reply was, I can't find the bank stuff right now, so I'll get it to you when I can. And I said, all right. And then she said, with all that money laying around, I would spend it. I don't do that. That's not me.
Why didn't you make the deposit yourself?
I didn't have any of the bank stuff. It all was mailed to her house. She had all the bank access, not me.
Well, you did make one deposit yourself.
After she gave me a deposit slip.
Okay, but you can go into a bank.
They wouldn't receive the money without original deposit slip for the bank.
Oh, no. That's ridiculous. Well, Miss Aton, that's ridiculous. If you go in with your account number, listen to me, if you go into a bank with your account number.
I didn't have the account number.
We didn't have
I
anything.
didn't have anything.
But you could have. I mean, it wasn't a secret. You say, give me the account number, then then you can do it. Then you don't even have to keep money in your wet bar, a couple $100s in your wet bar.
But mine got deposited.
Well, she deposited money. She says that you gave her $236 in cash.
I gave her more than that.
I understand that you say you gave her that. But she did, in fact, deposit $236 in cash.
It's
no?
not in here.
Did you deposit it?
Yes, I did. I deposited what I had.
You said it was $236.
I believe it was around $236.
It's not registered on there that I could see.
What date?
I'm not sure the date. It was one of the dates her husband at school one day came up to me and asked me if I had deposited the money. I told him that I had. I was actually on my way to the bank to do that.
You lied about it.
Listen, Mr. Aton, don't shout out that you don't want me to think you're a hothead, do you?
Well, I can be. Everybody can be sometimes. But I'll restrain myself.
Well, I would like to have some proof, Miss Davis, that you did in fact deposit the $236.
I haven't seen any of the deposits that had been done. I tried to.
This was a deposit that you made.
Right.
You went to the bank, you deposited $236. You got a receipt. Where's the receipt?
I do not have the receipt, Your Honor.
What'd you do with it?
I gave it to Mrs. Aton.
No, you
Wait,
did not.
just a second. Hey.
I handed her all the paperwork with all the receipts.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was aware of this, Your Honor.
I don't care whether they're aware of it, madam. You're not even dealing with your money. It belongs to the Girl Scout Council of America. And you don't do anything in that fiduciary capacity that is illegal. You got it?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Marcelinda Aton says fellow Brownie troop leader Maureen Davis stole the proceeds from the troop's cookie sale. Maureen denies the charge and says the Atons are harassing her.
You have a problem. At least with $236, you have a problem. You have a problem with $236 because you knew you were coming to court today, not only on her complaint, but on a cross complaint that you had. You've had months to resolve this issue. And you could have easily said to the bank, I want a copy of the receipt for my $236.
I had asked for a copy of the stuff, but apparently they were subpoenaed and the bank went through their lawyers and I was told that I could not be issued those.
Oh, that's baloney. It is going to be, Ms. Aton, absolutely impossible to ascertain whether the money was taken out of your cash box.
Does that also give her the right to forge my name on the bank documents and on here?
On where?
On the bank authority for the council, too. And she even misspelled my name.
Your Honor, can I say something?
This is not an issue at hand, and if she wants to proceed
that is the reasoning that the council decided to only have me pay half.
Tell her what we saw at the bank.
That's not correct.
And at the bank, they would not give me any more of the statements and stuff because they realized that my name was forged also on the bank stuff.
You mean as an owner of the account?
Yeah.
And I can explain that, Your Honor.
Let me hear you.
I had gone into the bank and opened up our checking account for the Girl Scouts because they needed it to be open. I opened it with my own money. At that time, the signature card sat in the bank for at least 3 weeks. Mrs. Aton would not or did not go in to sign the signature card.
Why didn't you bring one out and give it? Shut up! Why didn't you pick up the signature card and give it to her and say, sign this off and I'll bring it back to the bank?
Because we very rarely saw each other in the morning.
Morning, afternoon, a bank card could be signed morning, afternoon, evening.
She knows where I
You
live.
can't sign somebody else's name to an account.
But she had told me to do, Your Honor, and it came from her. I didn't even know her name was Marcelinda. I've always known her as Marcy.
No.
She asked.
Go ahead.
She asked me to sign her name to that so that the bank account could get opened. I did that. Now, I realize after
Where did you do that?
this-
In the bank?
In the bank.
Are you telling me you sat before a bank officer and they allowed you to sign somebody else's name?
I did.
Well, you did. And this is the same bank that wouldn't give you a copy of your deposit slip of $236 that would allow you to sit there and forge somebody's signature in a bank document?
No.
Come on, Miss Davis. Well, it doesn't sound very kosher to me. In any event, I have $236 that is unaccounted for. Can't account for the rest. I'm not prepared to find that she's a thief. Forged your name. She says it was with the bank's consent. That's very stupid.
Yes, I realized that after the fact that it probably wasn't something that should have been done.
Absolutely.
But we were friends, and I didn't think anything of it when she asked me to do this.
Yeah, you don't do that. I mean, I don't open an account by forging the name of my children. I don't care whether you're your friend or not. You just don't open an account that way.
She was aware of this, Your Honor.
I don't care whether they're aware of it, madam. You're not even dealing with your money. You have a fiduciary relationship towards this money. It is not yours. It belongs to the Girl Scout Council of America. And you don't do anything in that fiduciary capacity that is illegal. It is illegal to open an account with a forged name. You got it? I don't care, friends, not friends. This is a business. All right. Switch places.
Yep.
Your cross complaint is for harassment.
Yes, ma'am.
You're claiming that the defendant, Mr. Aton, who has an acknowledged hot temper and who's going to uncross his arms as we speak, has harassed you in front of your child. Tell me about it.
It started the end of school year last year when this money went missing. The first episode he did was in front of my daughter and in front of a bunch of parents, and I was furious at the point that he would do this in front of everybody. I left school and I went to Mrs.
What did he do?
He sat there and yelled and called me a thief, a liar, every four-letter word you can think of.
Where was this?
At the school where we pick up our daughters.
Where at the school?
Right in front of where their classroom is where
Inside the school?
Inside the school grounds.
Well, tell me exactly what he said to you.
He came up to me and he called me a thief, called me a liar, told me he was going to get me, that I stole this money, and my daughter and I proceeded to walk away, where he just proceeded to follow us and kept calling us names.
I believe he did that.
And I went to his
I
wife's
didn't have to ask him. I believe he did it. He can't contain himself here.
I went to his wife's work where I sat my daughter down in a little play area they have there and asked to speak with her. We went in the back. I told his wife what had happened, and she was appalled. She started crying. She apologized. She came out to my daughter and apologized. And she told my daughter, she would talk to him, that he wasn't being very nice. And
I believe that too. Right?
I did say that.
Just
to
a second.
keep her working with me.
Stand up here, please. Ms. Aton, let's be very honest with each other. So far,
yes,
we're getting somewhere. She did come to your place of work and say that
yelling
there was
across my platform with a bunch of customers in it.
Absolutely not.
And she said Bill was ready to kick Dan's. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, honey.
You don't go inside for a minute.
I don't think you're following me, Ms. Aton. My point is, immediately after she saw your husband at the school, she came to your place of employment very upset, right?
Right.
And you did have a discussion.
Yes.
All that leads me to believe that this actually occurred at the school. All right?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, it goes much deeper than that, much deeper. Insults, slandering my child.
He even went up to my daughter, my 7-year-old daughter, and told her that her mommy was no good.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brownie troop leader Maureen Davis is suing her co-leader's husband, Dan Aton, for harassment.
What else?
Mr. Aton came up to me with his fists clenched and started proceeding to yell and scream at me in front of another parent. The parent.
What did he say?
He proceeded then to call me a lion and proceeded to tell me that I was a thief and I was no good. And I asked him, I was talking to another parent, I politely asked him to leave me alone, and he would not. The other parent then walked away. I asked him again to leave me alone. At that time, we were right in front of my daughter's classroom where the door was open, and he would not leave. When my daughter came out, I took my daughter, I proceeded to walk away to the crosswalk. He proceeded to follow me and said, "You'll get yours," and he walked away. This happened every day when I went to school. He had something nasty to say every single day, until the fact that he even went up to my daughter, my 7-year-old daughter, and told her that her mommy was no good. I went to the police department 3 times. The first day of school I went, right after this happened, because my daughter was terrified.
Okay. According to what I read here, there is some indication that you did get a restraining order against
Yes, I
him.
did.
When was that?
On October 13th.
Do you have a copy of that restraining order?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please? There has not been a hearing yet on this.
It's on the 27th.
Well,
they
I
made
can't-
me get an emergency at the police
Listen
department.
to me. Shh. Do you have an attorney?
No.
Well, you will, I'm sure, get one. I am not going to take your testimony here today with regard to these allegations of harassment, sir. Do you understand? Because there is currently an action pending And according to this, you are in the interim not to go near the plaintiff, her husband, her child, and stay 100 yards away from all of those people, their place of work, their place of residence, et cetera, et cetera. Now, that was done on an ex-parte basis, so the court had absolutely no information from your side as to whether any of these allegations were true.
I haven't been able to say anything about it. She's been able to...
Did you understand?
Yes.
You will have your chance after you speak to an attorney. You got it?
Yes.
I have to dismiss the harassment complaint. You can refile it after the action is concluded in the Superior Court, but I'm not going to put him in the position of having to testify without benefit of counsel here when he has a current action pending. I suggest you get a lawyer, Mr. Aton. You're going to need one, because if you have a hot temper, and there is no question in my mind that with what I've seen today, that there may be some validity to her complaints, that if she gets a restraining order against you and you violate it, you could go to jail.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She acknowledges that you gave her $236.
Okay.
She cannot present to me any proof from her bank, the bank that permitted her to forge your signature on a signature card, according to her, yet would not give her a copy of the receipts. So I'm perfectly comfortable on your complaint awarding you $236.
People can be provoked, Your Honor.
I didn't provoke you here,
No,
sir.
I'm not
Nothing
saying...
here provoked you.
No.
Nothing here provoked you. But I could tell that you are easily provoked. You're easily provoked because you think that this is a major deal. We're talking about money. We're not talking about your health.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. It goes much deeper than that. Much deeper. Insults, slandering my child. I'm very protective of my family. I almost lost all three of them. Almost lost her to cancer. Almost lost my youngest.
So if you are smart and you know that this is money, and you have your wife, and she has her health, right?
I have on the calendar in the matter of Dupree versus Kimmel. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Mr. Dupree, the defendant was a friend of yours or an acquaintance?
Yeah.
Try yes.
Yes.
And you were driving your car,
Yes.
and the defendant was in your car.
Yes.
And there was someone else in your car.
Yes.
Who was that?
Corey.
And you and Corey decided to play a little joke on Mr. Kimmel.
Yes.
So tell me what you said to Mr. Kimmel.
I told him that I said, go get all your money out of your ATM. And I said, I've already left 2 friends out in the country. I'm going to take you out there.
Your Honor, may I add that that was at gunpoint?
Shh. Okay. So at gunpoint
Yes.
was something that appeared to be a gun.
Yes, it actually turned out to be a BB gun on
Okay, but it
inspection to the
appeared
state
to be a
police.
gun to you.
Yes, it did, Your Honor.
The plaintiff told you that he was taking you to go in so that you could take all of your money out of your ATM.
Right, and may I excuse the profound language that Mr. Debris used, but I will kill you with my friends. Sorry.
So, and you at that point were afraid.
Yes, I was.
At some point, the defendant managed to get out of the car, and according to you, went ballistic and kicked and punched and pummeled your car. So you are suing him for damage to your car.
Right.
And you, Mr. Kimmel, are counterclaiming for a
Right.
variety of things, the loss of your cell phone and your eyeglasses,
Yes,
and
sir.
also for emotional distress. Correct?
That is correct. I have a detailed listing of the damages should you need them.
And I will. Mr. Dupree, after you told him that you were going to take him out to the country,
Right, which was not at gunpoint.
but there was a BB gun in the car.
Right.
Just to answer my question, there was a
Right.
BB gun in the car.
Yes, there was.
Your Honor, that's a lie.
Shum. Don't need help. What did he do, sir?
He got out of the car and he went and got his money.
Well, did he struggle with you at all at that point? Are you chewing gum?
No.
Are you chewing gum?
Yeah. I swallowed it.
Okay. How much money did you take out, Mr. Kimmel?
I took out $90 since it only allows withdrawals in the increments of $10.
And you got back into the car?
Yes, and he also requested that I get a balance inquiry sheet to make sure that I had successfully cleaned the entire account.
And what was the next thing that happened after you drove off?
We got, there's a highway that you can use to get to the movie theaters because that was our destination.
Before and after the joke was played, that was our destination to go see a movie.
Did anything happen in the car while you were on the highway?
No.
Did Mr. Kimmel begin to struggle at all in the car?
Not until we got about halfway there, and then he freaked out. He was talking about all sorts of odd things, and then he started to choke me.
So he leaned from the back. What kind of odd things, by the way?
He was talking about people being dead and KKK members and all sorts of other odd, strange things.
Okay. At that point, when he started talking strangely, and listen to my question very carefully, Mr. Dupree, did you say to him, come on, this is all a big joke, you know, we weren't serious? Did you say that to him?
No.
Subsequent to that conversation that he had with you, where he was talking strangely, you said he went ballistic from the back seat and started to choke you, and you were driving.
Yes.
Did that cause you to stop the car?
Yes.
And when you stopped the car, what happened?
We wrestled for, Corey got out of the car, and right at that moment we were like, this is a joke, man. It was just a joke. We're actually going to the movie theater. And Corey got out and he was yelling it at him, and then Corey didn't know what to do, so he started to flag down traffic to call for help.
Why was he calling for help?
Because he was choking me and he wasn't letting up at all. Even after we had made it blatantly clear that it was a joke.
So you said to him, I'm sorry, it's a joke, it's a joke, it's a joke.
Yes.
Okay, and what did he do when he got out of the car to your car?
He put dents in the right-hand side. He broke the the right-hand tail light. He also kicked my door in the windshield and put another dent on my front fender. And then we wrestled for a minute.
Just a minute.
Oh.
And this was after you had said to him, this was all a joke?
Yes, after I'd made it clear several times.
How long was it in minutes from the time you all got into the car and you said to him, you're going to the ATM to take out all your money, and whatever else you said to him, until the time he got out of the car and started to kick your car? How many minutes?
About 15.
So is it a fair statement, Mr. Dupree, for about 15 minutes, Mr. Kimmel was laboring under the assumption that you intended to do him bodily harm?
No. Because...
Was it 15 minutes, Mr. Dupree?
Yeah, yes, it was 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
But I had never told him, and I didn't once, that I was going to kill him or do him any bodily harm.
You told him you were taking him to the country?
Yeah.
But you just told me, Mr. Dupree, that it wasn't your intention when you all got into the car to go to the country. It was your intention to go to the movies. That was what you were doing. So you told him, in effect, we're not going to the movies. I'm taking you out to the country.
Yes.
Right?
The highway leads. We took the back ways to the movie theater.
I'm taking you to the country. And when he took out the money, you did not say to him at that moment, don't be ridiculous, this was all a joke. You did not say that.
No, it wasn't part of the joke. The punchline came when we got to the movie theater.
Ah, so 15 minutes in your car under the assumption that he had just been the victim of a robbery by extortion and that it was your intention to take him to the country to hurt him. That was his assumption for that 15-minute period.
Correct.
Good. And how much did it cost to have your car fixed?
The estimate for my car for damages was $1,875.34.
I hope you have the money. Now let's get to the counterclaim. Let's talk about the physical property, sir, that was damaged as a result of this practical joke gone awry.
Yes, he is correct that I did choke him. At the time, I was a little less concerned with his neck and more concerned with my personal safety.
You choked him, that's his
exactly.
problem. Go ahead. Behaved like an idiot. That's not something that you do as a practical joke.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What's left of my cell phone after he flung it into traffic and was run over by an 18-wheeler.
He used his cell phone to break my windshield, and he says, well, I guess I don't need this anymore.
And later today...
You took off all your jewelry, and you threw it on the bed while she was in the bed.
Correct.
Now you want your jewelry back.
That's correct.
That's what this lawsuit is about.
Exactly.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michael Dupree says former friend Keith Kimmel damaged his car when he kicked it. Keith says Michael took him hostage at gunpoint.
Go ahead.
he had eventually broken free of that grip in the car, and yes, he did indeed tell me that it was a joke, but I wasn't believing too much that he said at this point. If we had the gun here in evidence, you would see that it looks extremely real. It's
How large a gun was it?
It was a handgun. It appeared to be a large gun and capable of doing damage.
You were, but this was at night?
Yes, it was, around 8 p.m., dusk.
Tell me about the damage to your property, sir.
We have the exhibits that I have of things that were damaged is what's left of my cell phone after he flung it into traffic. It was run over by an 18-wheeler.
He used his cell phone to break my windshield, and then he says, well, I guess I don't need this anymore. And then he threw it out the window.
I don't think so.
How much was your cell phone, sir?
The cell phone, I have an estimate from Radio Shack in the amount of $277.40.
$277. What other physical property was destroyed?
Well, my eyeglasses, which are on here, which I had to rig in order to use between the time of the incident and the case. The estimate there, they said, was in the neighborhood of $400, and they didn't have anything written
Let me see
out.
the glasses.
If you also notice, the lenses are scratched from hitting the highway several times after they were flung off my face and then stepped on, during the scuffle.
Well, how much did you pay for these glasses, sir?
I paid $410, and my insurance only provides coverage for glasses every 3 years in the amount of $400.
Oh, okay. Would you return these, please, to Mr. Kimmel? What else, sir?
Thank you, sir. I have the cellular telephone accessory, which is a belt clip, and that was attached to the
Let's
back.
go. Come on.
And of course, the $90 that he forced me to withdraw from my ATM, which I have not recovered.
Where was it?
In his pocket.
The cop, when we explained to the cop that this was a practical joke, the cop pulled it out of my pocket, and I've not seen it since.
Well, I called all the state police jurisdictions.
So you don't have your money back?
That's correct. I have the $500 for lost productivity, my home-based business. I'm a web consultant. As part of my contract, I guarantee my work to be done on time. If it's not done on time, I give them a $250 credit.
Mr. Kimmel, you have $777 in losses from your personal property. Now, I have a couple of other questions to ask you, sir. There was a 15-minute period there till the time. I assume that at some point you recognized that you were safe, right, when the police arrived?
That's at the time that I recognized, yes.
Okay. And I'd like you to tell me, sir, what was going through your mind during that period of time?
Well, when he referred to me talking weirdly, that he was trying to hint at the fact that he said, well, I won't be the one doing the killing. I have a couple friends that will be doing that, and the trunk is full of KKK uniforms. He had mentioned that he may have killed a couple of our other friends, which I had no way of verifying, and I didn't know, but that right there...
How long did you know him?
I've met him probably 4 or 5 times over a period of about 2 months, so I thought that he could, be trusted at least to...
Go to the movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Go to the movies.
Well, going through my mind, I was very concerned for my safety.
You are suing on your countersuit.
Right.
The plaintiff for $2,500.
That's correct.
You have $777 worth of damages for personality.
Right.
Your lawsuit seeks the rest really for emotional distress and lost wages.
That's correct. Like I said, I have a detailed listing for your...
I don't need a detailed anything,
Okay.
sir. Your emotional distress is worth the remainder. Mr. Dubree, when you cause someone to fear for their life as a result of a practical joke, you have to accept all of the responsibility for what happens. You set in motion a chain of events by your stupidity which caused your car to be damaged and caused the defendant to suffer, whether it was 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes or a half hour, fear that he was going to die. You got to pay for that. Judgment on the counterclaim in the amount of $2,500 as requested. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Excused. You may step out.
I thought she would have seen through his lies and his insanity, but I guess she didn't, so...
This must have popped into his mind as something that might have been humorous or somehow entertaining. I didn't find it very entertaining, unfortunately.
And now the next case.
All parties on Petzold versus Gilmore. Step forward, please.
44-year-old assistant store manager Carrie Petzold is suing his ex-wife, 38-year-old waitress Margaret Gilmore, for the return of a necklace and 2 rings. Margaret says the only reason she has the jewelry is because Carrie threw them at her.
Mr. Petzold, the defendant is your former wife. When were you divorced, sir?
That was 6/28 of '99.
And according to your complaint, there came a time when you went to her house.
That's correct.
And you were very angry.
Yes, I was.
And why did you go to her house when you were angry, sir?
We had a...
You have children together.
Yes, we did, 3.
And they were all at home?
2 of which I believe were home at the time.
Go ahead.
All 3 were there.
Went to the home because of verbal threats on the phone in regards to possessions that I had, threatening to take everything I had personally, even the clothes off my back.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I thought that that would satisfy her for the time being.
No,
and I may have a day's arrest.
What did she want with your jewelry?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Terry Petzold says his ex-wife, Margaret Gilmore, won't return a necklace and 2 rings.
Who called you, sir, about this property?
She called in regards to property, real property in the home that...
Who remained in the home?
I did.
And she moved out?
Yes.
Did the children remain with you?
They went with their mother.
Where did you go?
I was left out of town. We'd had an argument out of town, Your Honor, and he had abandoned me and my son at the time, and our teenage daughter, the other one, Margaret, was at home at the time, and I had called her to let her know her father had a fight with me. He was on his way home for her to get out of the house. She tried to grab some belongings because we've done this numerous times over the 20 years of marriage, and my bedroom door was locked. She couldn't get any of my possessions. She took her stuff and clothes for her brother. 2 days later, I had a friend bring me back up to the high desert where we lived, and he had changed the locks and had the windows barred. I'd contacted the sheriff.
That's a lie, ma'am.
I had his various sheriffs.
You remained in the house. She and the children had to find other accommodations. Is that right, Mr. Petals?
Correct.
And then there came a time when you got very angry sometime around March of 1999, and you went to the house. You took off all your jewelry, and you threw it at her while she was in bed. Is that right?
I threw it on the end of the bed, ma'am. I didn't throw it at her.
There was a restraining order in effect at that time, Your Honor.
You threw it on the bed while she was in the bed.
Correct.
And what did you say to her when you threw your jewelry on the bed? What did you say to her?
I said at that time, ma'am, there is my jewelry. Please leave me alone. I want nothing further to do with you at this point.
Now you want your jewelry back.
That's correct.
That's what this lawsuit is about.
Exactly.
Mr. Petals, doesn't that sound foolish to you?
Yes, it does, but because of the situation and how ugly this situation got, Your Honor, is that I thought in my feeble mind at the time that would satisfy her for the time being, and I may have a day's arrest.
What did she want with your jewelry? Mr. Petals, you were angry. What you were saying is, you want everything else from me, now you got everything, including the gold in my teeth. Here it is, take it, leave me alone.
Pretty much how I felt.
That's
yes,
what
Your
you were
Honor.
saying.
Yes,
all
Your
right?
Honor.
Now time has passed. Maybe things are a little bit calmer. Now you want your jewelry back. Right? You don't have a legal leg to stand on, Mr. Petals. You understand that?
Correct.
You don't have a legal leg to stand on. So, Miss Gilmore.
Thank you.
Listen, I'm not finished. You have 3 children together?
Yes, that's correct.
What jewelry did he throw on the bed?
I have it with me today. It was the wedding band, the gold wedding band, a gold garnet ring I'd given him as a gift through the years, and a gold chain that was given to him as a gift.
Could I see it, please?
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Miss Gilmore, I have just told you that he has no legal basis to request this property back. He abandoned the property. He, in effect, gave it to you. He may have given it to you out of anger,
right,
but he gave it to you. So he has a prayer legally to get this back. You have 3 children together.
That's correct.
Right? You're still in school?
I'm in college.
And you have 2 other teenagers?
Correct, a 17-year-old daughter and a 16-year-old son.
Do you see your children?
No, I do not. Actually, my oldest daughter at this time, Your Honor, chooses not to see me. She has saw fit to demean me every which way she can.
No, you don't do that. Mr. Petals, just listen, sir. When you have children who are little, I was in the family court for many years. When you have children who are little, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, you have the ability as the custodial parent to sometimes poison children so that they are fearful of a non-custodial parent. But when children are 16 and 17 and 19 and 20, the parents themselves have made their own bed. And it has nothing to do with what their custodial parent says to them. I guarantee you, if you have a 17-year-old who wants to see you, they're going to see you. What I'm telling you, Miss Gilmore, it is foolish of you, foolish, to keep this. Do you want to know why? He's angry at a variety of things, many of the things he probably caused himself.
Yes.
But unfortunately, we very rarely see that in ourselves. This sticks in his throat. You don't want that. Trust me. Will you trust me on this one?
I do trust you, Your
Will you
Honor.
trust me on this one? This stuff is of no value.
They're
to
just
you.
material things. That's all I've ever looked at it as.
Right, just material things, and you were angry. I have no legal basis to give this back to him, but you would be so smart if you gave it back to him.
I had never asked for it in the first place, Your Honor.
You want to give it back to him?
I would be happy for him to have it if that would make him happy.
Thank you. This case is over.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Good
Thank
luck. Thank you, Bird.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Jones, according to the complaint that I've read, the defendant, who was your former girlfriend and your fiancé, owes you for certain things, according to you. You say that while you were either engaged or dating, a car was purchased that you paid for.
Yes,
How much was the car?
$1,623.
Okay. And that while the car was in her possession, being used by the defendant, and the two of you were together, you maintained the car. So when the car needed repairs, who took it in?
I did in the beginning. We moved to Little Rock, and I was gone 10 hours a day, and I entrusted Kelly to make the maintenance.
So she took the car in to be repaired.
No, she didn't take it in to be repaired. The car henceforth died. The motor seized from lack of attention, mechanical attention, and it's dead.
So? So's your romance. Tell me about this loan for $1,623.
We had an agreement when I bought the car that she would repay me. This was the agreement from the beginning of our relationship.
No, just tell me about the car. I don't know.
The car was, I will purchase a car if she reimburses me.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Just a second.
It is true.
When did
And
you
she was
purchase
to
the
repay
car?
me.
When did you purchase the car?
I purchased the car $415.99.
And when did your relationship eventually terminate?
Officially it terminated Thanksgiving last year.
The repairs, the upkeep on the car was paid by you.
Correct.
From May of 1999 through November of 1999, how much did she pay you back on this alleged loan?
$0.
Why didn't you discuss it with her?
I did, many times.
Yes. And what happened?
Nothing happened. I talked.
And yet you continued to pay for the repairs,
Correct.
even though she wasn't paying for the car.
Correct.
Car now is useless.
Correct.
Well, you don't get much for $1,600 for a Mercedes. How old a Mercedes was this?
I believe it was a 69.
What year?
It was in 1970, and he paid $1,000 for it. It was a donation car. He
Here's
paid,
the receipt
he paid
for the
$1,000 for the
purchase.
car, Your Honor.
Let me see.
There's the purchase.
Just a second. When did you buy the car?
$415.99.
Where?
From Memory Lane. It was a donation car.
That's not, the date's not correct, Your Honor.
It is. That's the receipt from Memory Lane.
Who went to pick out the car?
I did.
Where was she?
At home.
How come you didn't go with him?
Because he was going to stop by and look at the car after work.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to go with him and spend all day sitting in a car from 7 a.m. in the morning until 3 or 4 in the afternoon.
So he went by himself?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of an arrangement did you have with regard to paying him back for this car?
There was no arrangement. At the time we moved to Little Rock, we only had one vehicle. I was not working because I did not have a car. And when he bought me the car, there was never, it was a gift because I wanted to go to work.
Did you start working immediately after
Yes,
you
ma'am.
purchased the car?
Yes, ma'am.
No, she didn't.
How much later?
Little over a month because her
Okay,
niece
so-
and nephew moved in and she had to babysit them for a
Okay,
month.
so let's say a
half.
month. But within a month, she went back to work.
Part-time.
She went to work. But she didn't start paying you back for the car. Did you ask her to sign a note for this car?
No.
Your Honor,
I did not.
Why not?
Because at the time she's my fiance and I trusted what she told me. I don't.
Mr. Jones, do you think that if you got married, she was going to give you back this money for the car?
Yes, I did. I believe she would at least start contributing money to the relationship, which she
No, that's
never
a different.
did.
That's a different thing. Contributing money to the relationship is a different thing than paying you back on a specific loan. So is what you're telling me that you believe that were your engagement to have developed into a marriage, she would have still owed you this $1,600?
Yes. That was the agreement we had made.
I don't believe that. Let's get on to the other things that you're suing her for. You're suing her for the return of the engagement ring that he's entitled to. You
Yes,
understand
ma'am.
that?
Yes, ma'am.
The engagement was broken, in my judgment, an engagement ring is given in contemplation of marriage, and if the contract is breached, for whatever reason, whoever breaches it, he's entitled to the ring back. So?
Yes, ma'am, I agree. The ring was lost and stolen 6 months before we even started having any problems.
It's
Is
not
that true?
No,
Yes,
no, it's
Your
not.
Honor, it is true.
No,
Just a second.
she said she lost the engagement ring in December.
Before she moved out of the house. She informed me a month before she moved out.
That's what I'm asking you.
Yes.
That's what I'm asking you. Before the relationship was terminated,
she
came home one day and said the ring was either lost or stolen? Is
No.
that what, well, how did it happen, sir?
No. We ended the relationship at Thanksgiving when she stranded me at the airport and left me there, and when she picked me up, she got drunk. That's why I ended the relationship.
I don't care why you ended the relationship,
Then
sir.
she told me after this, several weeks after this, that she had lost the engagement ring. And she did not tell me when she lost it. She may have lost it 6 months before, but she did not inform me of that.
Well, didn't you see her not wearing the ring?
I did not. I didn't ask her about it.
He asked me several times, Kelly, where's your ring? I
No,
said, I'm
that's not
looking
true.
for it.
She
I
never-
think I
she
left it
never
at work.
looked
It was
for it.
stolen at work. I know it was
She
stolen
never.
at work.
Why? How could it be stolen? Someone stole it off her finger at work.
How can
up
you
until
not-
then, I had never seen her take it off.
Up until when?
Up until the time she told me it was gone.
You hadn't noticed it not on her hand? Did she
I did
wear it?
not.
I mean, I'm not talking about the Hope diamond here, because according
It
to
was
you...
a 1-carat platinum diamond ring. How can you not notice it?
Listen to me.
Excuse me.
Whatever it was, you got a good deal, because according to you, you spent $650 for the ring. Is that right?
That is correct.
$650 for a 1-carat platinum diamond ring. I want to know where you do your shopping. I'm going.
There's the receipt.
Can I have it, please? Okay, good. Then you claim, Mr. Jones, that she owes you for some damage to your property that was done by her dogs. Want to tell me about that?
Well, there's a lot of vet bills that lead up into that. Yeah.
I'm not interested in the vet bills.
Yeah, her dogs chewed up a couple pairs of my work boots, a Christmas gift I received from my grandmother the year before, and a carpet that I had purchased.
Were you living together at the time?
Yes, we were out in the house in Little Rock.
So, you expect her to reimburse you for
I
that?
only expect her to reimburse me on the items she said she would. She was responsible for the dogs. They were her dogs.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Matthew Jones says his ex-fiancée, Kelly Bell, owes him for an unpaid loan and damage to his belongings caused by her dogs. Matthew says Kelly also owes him for a lost engagement ring.
Are you telling me you said to her, you have to replace these boots because these are your dogs?
Incorrect. That is not what I said. That
I
is
didn't
not
think
how,
so.
That is not how the conversation transpired.
Well, how did the conversation transpire?
What transpired is I've got destroyed boots. I'm upset. They're
So?
very expensive work boots.
Yes?
Kelly volunteered to reimburse me for them. They were her dogs. I never approached her with, hey, you owe me. I've never said, hey, you owe me, ever in this relationship. All I'm asking for is what we agreed on orally that she would reimburse me for personal bills I incurred maintaining her.
Mr. Jones?
Because she's living
Yeah,
with me, that makes
Mr.
me
Jones.
responsible for
Mr.
her
Jones,
car.
You're angry.
I'm hurt.
Well, you may be angry, you may be hurt, and all I can tell you is what I've said to many women who were usually standing in your place with the guy on this side. You're really much better off for yourself to put a period and get over it. Now, I think that you are absolutely entitled to $650 from her for the engagement ring. I'm going to tell you why. If through her own negligence, unless she can show me a police report where she filed a report that the ring was stolen, the ring was misplaced, if it was misplaced at all, due to her negligence. And you shouldn't be out that money. I am not persuaded, however, that the car that was purchased was a loan.
Then why
Nor-
would I buy a car? I already owned a vehicle.
You bought a car because the two
I would
of you...
not buy her
Listen to
another
me.
one unless I was going to be reimbursed.
I don't believe that, Mr.
I'm the
Jones.
only
I'm
one
telling
who
you.
was working at the
I'm
time.
telling
I
you.
was the only one providing an income for both of us. I was paying every
Absolutely
bill,
right.
and
Mr.
she needed to
Jones.
get to work. She
Mr.
refused
Jones,
to
you
work.
are.
And she had to come
You're
up with a
speaking and I'm
vehicle.
speaking. I can tell you only one thing, sir. I can't hear you when I'm speaking, because when I'm speaking, I only listen to one voice. What you just said to me further emphasizes the fact that you didn't expect at the time to be reimbursed for this car, because you said to me, at the time I purchased this car, I was supporting the entire household. She wasn't working. She had no source of income. I wanted to get her working. That's why she got the car, because she couldn't get a job unless she had a car. I do not believe, and I am the judge of the facts in this trial, that there was a valid agreement for her to repay you for this car that either you paid $1,000 for or $1,600 for, or the bills to maintain the car. According to you, she had absolutely no way of repaying that money at the time that you bought the car. As far as the dogs are concerned, that's sort of foolish. People living together with an idea of getting married.
That's not what I'm suing for on the dogs. I am suing for vet bills, money I had to pay to the vet to maintain the dog's health. I'm not, I didn't
Don't do it.
You don't let someone you love dogs die because they can't afford to pay the dog.
Did you buy her the dogs?
No, I did not buy her the dogs.
She bought the dogs herself?
They were free. They were mutts.
Who brought the dogs home?
I drove in my car to pick up one from Little Rock. The other one I got as a stray from a gentleman I worked with at work.
So the answer is you brought the dogs into the house?
No.
Mr. Jones.
So I got to suffer?
No, just answer my question, sir. You brought the dogs into the house.
No, I only brought one dog in. She carried the other dog in.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $650 as indicated. I believe she owes you for the ring. Miss Bell, you're well out of it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He beat the dogs in the head with the boots that they chewed up. And that's all I have to say. Trust no one but God and your animals. That's the only comment.
I didn't bring up any dirt. I didn't bring up anything about that. I just wanted what she promised to pay me back.
And now the next case.
All parties on Jerome versus Gray. Step forward, please.
30-year-old computer support technician Michael Jerome is suing his ex-wife, 28-year-old administrative technician Christina Gray, for an overpayment of child support. Christina is countersuing for attorney fees and alienation from their daughter.
Mr. Jerome, you and the defendant had once been married. You have one child. You have a daughter together?
Yes.
Who was 8?
Yes.
For a period of time after you were divorced or while separated, your daughter lived with your former wife. More recently, after a lengthy custody battle, I assume, you were awarded full-time custody of your daughter.
Yes.
There was a time when child support, which was being paid to the defendant, was coming right out of your check.
That's right.
And your claim is that the money continued to come out of your check after the time that your daughter came to reside with you on a full-time basis.
Yes.
So you want to be reimbursed for the overpayment for child support. In what amount do you believe you have overpaid child support?
$642, I believe.
When did your daughter come to live with you on a full-time basis?
Christmas Eve, 1999.
And do you have pay stubs to show child support paid after that date?
I have the accounting from the child support.
I'll see it. All right. Defense to his request for the overpayment is, in fact, he still owes you some money.
Yes.
In arrears.
That's correct.
I'm looking at this, sir. Do you still owe arrears on the original order?
No, I don't. When I was awarded custody, the judge made it clear that he was awarding attorney's fees in the amount to offset the arrearage, and we would have a clean slate.
Well, let me see that order. Where he says that. Let me see. Oh, well, that's very easy, sir. I don't know why you're here. Because according to the printout from the support collection unit that you've given me, you did, in fact, pay, pursuant to the income deduction order, after your daughter was in your custody, an amount of $642.
Yes.
That's clear. It is also clear from what you have given me that you are thousands of dollars in arrears on the original order from when your daughter was living with your former wife, right? And what the court has said, yes. It says total billed, $13,000 and change. Total to date collected, $9,172. So even according to this, giving you credit for the $642, you still owe her over $4,000 in arrears.
That's not right.
Well, that's what this paper says, sir.
The judge ordered there to be a zero balance at the time of the transfer.
Show me where the judge said that there's a zero balance. Take a look. Well, that's a different order. That's a good order. I don't know how you managed that. Judge must have been very angry with you, because this order says that the petitioner, that's him, has incurred $5,043 in reasonable attorney's fees, and that he is in arrears of approximately $5,043. Petitioner has fully paid and satisfied, therefore, the judgment for child support up to and through April 1st of 2000. End of case. So he must have been angry at the protracted nature of this case for some reason. In any event, you owe him $642. That's the overpayment. All right. Now, let's get to your counterclaim. Ms. Gray, you're counterclaiming for $5,000 for mental anguish and lost wages as a result of endless court appearances and mediations.
Correct, Your Honor.
I don't think that you get paid for that, do you?
Your Honor, this is 9 years of ongoing court battles that have got nothing to do with anything but him being angry because I left 8 years ago and taking my daughter.
I assume that there were periods of time when you were not visiting with your daughter, is that right?
Yes.
And were those periods of time during which there were court-ordered visitations?
Yes.
Ms. Gray, what I'm telling you is I'm an old family court practitioner, and there has to be some very serious circumstance before a judge will transfer custody of a child from one parent to another.
That's what my attorney told me, too. That's why he was so confident we wouldn't lose Chelsea.
Well, your attorney may have told you that. However, what I'm telling you is when it appears that the child is being deprived of an ongoing and meaningful relationship with one parent because another parent is frustrating orders of visitation, after a while what happens is the judge says, I'm going to give you one more chance, and if we don't follow through with it, you're going to lose custody. And your attorney says to you, that's never going to happen. They're never going to take your little girl away from you. Does that sound a little bit familiar to you?
Very familiar.
Right.
Never mind that he denied the visitation.
Because aside from serious abuse or neglect, that's the only reason that judges will take a child away from one parent who has been the custodial parent for years, because that parent is frustrating the relationship with the child with the other parent. Judge got fed up. Your counterclaim's dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $642. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Judge, you may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Jones, you and the defendant were going to a party together. And you were driving a car. Whose car were you driving?
Mine.
And according to you, you got blotto drunk at the party.
Yes.
First dumb thing. And you went out to your car and passed out. And at some point, Miss Thomas came out of the party, and she drove the car home.
Yes.
That was her intention.
Yes.
And she got into the driver's seat, started the car, proceeded on her way, got into a car accident, and you want her to pay for the damage to the car.
Yes.
Okay. How long have you known Miss Thomas?
She's a mutual friend of a friend that we both know.
Did you make arrangements with her before you got to the party about what was going to happen if somebody drank too much?
That was already organized. My witness.
No, you organized it. You were driving your car.
Yeah, there were designated drivers there at the party because she had planned for them to be there.
Okay. Now, when Miss Thomas came out, she got into the driver's seat. Were you aware that she was there?
I was asleep.
And what was the next thing that happened?
I woke up in an accident. I don't know what happened.
You don't know what happened?
I know we woke up in an accident. I knew that she shouldn't have ran the stop sign.
Well, you don't know anything because you were, according to you, dead drunk, right?
Yeah, I was asleep.
Drunk? All right, so you don't really know what happened. Is that right?
No, I don't know how she got into an accident.
You don't know what happened. You don't remember anything from the time you made your way out of the party and collapsed in the car, according to you, until the time you were in the accident and jolted from the accident.
Yes.
So, Miss Thomas, I'm going to turn to you. According to you, you came out of the party. Had you been drinking?
No. I had a drink. Let me correct myself. I had drunk prior to the party because they had a gathering before we went to the party.
What did you have to drink before you went to the party?
I had a cup of Hennessy. 1 cup of cognac Hennessy.
And you had nothing to drink at the party?
At the party, no, I didn't drink at all.
Why?
Because in the party, I didn't have really that much money on me. And she had a big jar of some kind of drink with blue juice or so forth. I don't know what it was.
That she
I
had with her?
tasted, but I didn't actually, you know, have a drink on my own.
I don't care whose drink it was. You did have something to drink at the party.
Yeah.
You didn't have your drink, you had her drink.
Right.
Her blue juice.
Yeah, whatever.
What happened when you got to the car, Miss Thomas?
When we got to the car, we sat in the car for a little while.
Who's we?
Me, her, and two of her cousins. We was talking. We had a smoke break. We went to the car. We smoked. They smoked or whatever. We
smoked what?
We smoked. Cigarette smoke. Cigarette.
Anything
Cigarette.
other than cigarettes?
No, ma'am.
Oh.
No. Okay, and we all talked. We all talked in the car, so forth, and then after that, she was sleeping in the passenger seat. In the club, several times, she told me at the table.
Who told you?
Keisha. She told me, "Can you drive?" She kept on making. She kept on making suggestions and asking me questions. Could I drive? On our way going there, she said that she was really feeling the liquor or so forth. She was like, "You might have to drive home." So I kind of set in my mind that I'm not going to drink too much, even though she did ask me that I have license. I told her I did not have license.
Okay.
I said, "Do you have license?" She said, "No, she don't have license neither."
Judge, I had a license since I was 16 years old, and I was always told, do not let anyone drive your car without a license.
But you did not have a license.
She did not.
I didn't have a license, and I made this aware to her that I didn't have a license.
So if you did not have a license, Miss Thomas, there came a point when you got into the car and started to drive the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Want to explain to me why?
I drove home because I didn't have a way home, and we were the only ones left at the party at the time. Prior to me driving home, she kept making it secure for me to drive home.
Just a minute. You get into the car.
She wasn't
She's
asleep
asleep.
at that time.
Listen, pay attention to me, Miss Thomas. You get into the car. Is she asleep in the car?
Okay, she was asleep in the car, but when it was time for us to get ready to go, that I had her keys. Ma'am, my thing is, if I didn't have permission to drive your car, how did I get your keys?
Oh, just a minute. Don't ask me any questions.
That's what I'm saying. How did I get your keys?
Just listen to me.
They were in valet
Listen to
parking.
me. You got into the car, into the driver's seat of the car.
Mm-hmm.
Did you, when you got into the car, before you started the car, have any conversation with her at all?
Yes, I had a conversation with her. She started throwing up. I had turned to her, and I opened the passenger door. I leaned and pushed her head out the door so she could throw up out the door and not into her car. I was trying to help her out. I wiped her with one of her children's diaper towel. I helped her put her seatbelt on, and I asked her, "Was you ready?" She said, "Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go." Them was her words.
Okay. Tell me about the accident.
Okay, the accident, prior to us on our way home, I had asked her, could I make a stop? She was intoxicated. I don't know if she remembers, so forth. However, I'm coming up 55th. I stopped at the stop sign. I looked both ways. I didn't see no car. As I hit, going on over to the intersection, bam, a car out of where it came from, I don't know. I didn't see no lights. I didn't see anything. It just hit us. Bam. I shook her, and I just told her that these gentlemen has just ran into us, that we had a car accident. What? Or whatever, she pops up out of her, she's like, we have a car, whatever. So by us being in the middle of the street, I backed the car up, and I parked it where we would be out the middle of the street. So here come these two gentlemen. They all ranching and raving. She's mad that we's in an accident. These gentlemen, we two women out here, it's 2, 3 in the morning. We're by ourselves, and it's two men, and then they ranching and raving. I don't know what they're gonna try to do to us. I don't know if they're gonna bring any harm to us. So me, with my mouth, I'm not gonna let nobody, do nothing, no harm to me. I said to them, no, it's not my fault. That says, how everyone, you get in an accident, they want to blame you. I'm trying to calm her down to explain to her what went on. I'm trying to explain to these gentlemen what went on. Thank God that we was over somewhere where I have family. So I asked her, I said, Keisha, come on with me and get out the car for the police or anybody. We involve the police or however. You're drunk, and they smell of liquor. She refused to leave. She refused anything. She would not agree with me at all.
Fine. So the police arrived at the scene?
No, I had left the scene.
Yeah, she left when the police
I
came.
left because she refused to help.
You left the scene?
Yes, I left the scene and went to my cousin's house.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They gave you a ticket for running a stop sign?
No, they gave me a ticket for no license.
She didn't even give the police her real name.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kaikisha Jones says her former friend Tanya Thomas owes her for wrecking her car. Tanya says it was the other driver's fault.
So you left your friend alone at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, ma'am.
In the car with two men.
Two men that she was talking to. That she was made herself accountable to.
You left. And you didn't leave and go and call the police because you said you didn't know what these two men were going to do to you. You said that to me a moment ago. You didn't know whether they were going to cause any harm to you. So you leave your friend who's drunk with these two strangers, even though you were in fear, and you didn't go immediately to call the police?
No, ma'am.
Well, that was a big mistake. I mean, there were a lot of mistakes here, but that was a mistake. Don't you see that?
Okay, reason why I didn't call the police because the gentleman had already called the police prior to me calling, before I could call.
I'm not ready for you yet.
Okay.
So you heard the two gentlemen calling the police?
I heard, yes, ma'am.
And you took off?
No.
Yes, you did. You left.
No.
Hey, you left. You didn't wait for the police. Miss Thomas, you didn't wait for the police.
Yes. All right, yes.
Did you come back to the car?
Yes, ma'am.
How much later?
Right afterwards.
Were the police there when you arrived?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
They arrived at the same time I arrived.
Okay. Did they give you a breathalyzer test?
No, ma'am.
But they gave you a ticket for running a stop sign?
No, they gave me a ticket for no license.
But not for running the stop sign?
No, ma'am.
She didn't even give the police her real name because she don't have a license.
Well, they must have asked for her license.
She don't have a, that's what they wrote her a ticket for, not having a license.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Jones, let me see a picture of the car, please. Now you can step up. Now I'll hear you. Tell me your name.
I'm Loretta Smith.
Ms. Smith, how are you related to, or how do you know these two young women?
This is my cousin, and it was my son's birthday party. And I had already had designated drivers, and Miss Thomas was not one of my designated drivers. By me being a mother, there is no way I would let Miss Thomas get behind the car without no driver's license and she was drinking.
How many children do you have?
Have one.
How old is your child?
She'll be one on the 28th.
Where was she that night?
She was at my auntie's house.
At your aunt's house?
Yeah, overnight.
How come you drank so much? Make you sick?
You know, it was a surprise party, and we were just having a good time. I had 2 drinks. I'm not a drinker, so I had 2 drinks, and it was way past my limit. Way past.
You feel as if you owe any responsibility for this accident at all?
No. There were designated drivers there. Her services were not
And I
needed.
had designated drivers
Now,
there.
did you have, what's your last name?
I'm Smith.
Ms. Smith, did you have a conversation personally with Miss Thomas about providing a driver to drive the car home?
No, ma'am.
So you did not?
No, I did not know Miss Thomas. What I knew is I had a designated driver.
That's not my question. My question was, you did not have any discussion with Miss Thomas?
No, ma'am.
About
No, ma'am.
providing a driver to go home?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And according to Miss Jones, she was dead drunk in the front seat of the car.
Yes.
So you have Miss Jones, who may know that you had a designated driver.
Right.
But she's totally incoherent.
Right.
And Miss Thomas doesn't know, according to you, about designated drivers because you never had a conversation with her.
Right.
Thank you. Sit down. You were wrong to drive a car without a license, whether she gave you permission to or not. You were wrong. You don't know whether you gave her permission to drive the car because you were drunk. And it is very possible that she got into the car and she said, "You ready to go? Let's go." And you said, "Yeah, let's go." That's possible. You can't tell me it's not possible because you don't remember because you were drunk.
Okay, can I just say one thing? She claims that she was waking me up all this time. I should have been woke.
Waking you up?
Me up.
I never
can
said
I drive
woke
your
you
car?
up. Just a minute.
Can I go and make another stop on 5050 San Pedro, which is 2 miles away from my house?
People who want to act responsibly are not supposed to put themselves in a position where they're so inebriated that they don't remember what happened.
Okay.
That's what you did.
All right.
Now, Ms. Thomas didn't know that there was a designated driver.
Okay.
According to your witness, she is partially responsible for what happened to this car. Absolutely. You are, and if you think you're not, you're nuts. Because you were driving without a license, you had something to drink that night, and in addition to that, whether you say this car came out of nowhere, you had a stop sign. So you're wrong. When you have a stop sign and the car is coming out, you didn't see lights, you didn't see anything. That's not the car's
I
problem.
stopped
That's
at the
your
stop sign.
You
So
may have listen. Stopping at the stop sign does not relieve you of responsibility, Miss Thomas.
Well,
You're
I
not
did
supposed.
not-
Speaking. You're not only supposed to stop at the stop sign. You're supposed to stop at the stop sign until it is totally clear for
It
you to
was
go.
clear for me
Pay
to go.
attention. It wasn't clear for you to go because the car didn't drop out of the sky. The car came from someplace. You may not have seen it, but the car had the right of way and you did not.
Okay.
If the car hit you in the middle of the intersection, the car had the right of way and your car either jumped the stop sign or didn't stop long enough for you to see that there was a car coming in the intersection where that car had the right of way. So you are at least partially responsible. Now, did you have a deductible on this car?
No.
She had
you had
no
insurance?
No.
How did she know?
Just a minute.
I had liability insurance.
You
no,
do.
you didn't. I couldn't find, because I was drunk, I couldn't find my registration or insurance. Even I had liability. It wouldn't
We
do
had
us
no
no good
insurance
because
at
we
all.
got hit.
No insurance
How
at
did
all.
you know?
Listen
Neither
to
party
me
had
carefully. Did you? What year car is this?
87 Bonneville.
It's an 87. So you probably didn't have collision insurance.
I didn't have full coverage.
You didn't have. All right. Now let me see the bill for the car.
Oh. The bill. This is a promissory note, because she pulled 2 knives on me, mind you. 2 big butcher knives. Talking about she's going to kill me.
Did I just pull the knife?
2 big knives.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This was going months
Pay
and months.
careful attention to me. Put your hand down. You talk, I'm talking.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kaikisha Jones says former friend Tanya Thomas drove her car without permission and wrecked it.
This makes it easy. Is this a promissory note that you're offering into evidence?
No,
Madam, pay attention.
Okay, this is a note that when the police came, they made her write this note. I didn't ask for them to write this note, but they tried to resolve it, and they said
This was
to
May
take
8th. The accident was on April 15th.
This was going months and
Pay
months.
careful attention to me. Put your hand down. Are these your 2 signatures on this?
Yes.
Is this your signature on this?
Yes.
And this says, on May 5th at 9:30, I, Tonya Thomas, gave Keisha Jones $100. I will be willing to give Leisha another $100 on June 5th, 2000. Now, is that for the accident?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, this was just, you know, month by month or whatever, because she owes me $11.80.
For what?
Well, I needed another transmission for my car. The way we was hit, my car spun around and the transmission busted.
So is what you're telling me that this other $100 she was supposed to give you was not in full satisfaction of what you thought she owed you?
No.
Well, I'm trying to figure out, madam, exactly how much it was to fix your car.
$11.80.
Now, I see $206 and $350.
Here's the, estimate that the mechanic gave me, which is for another transmission.
I don't have, I'm not dealing with that. I have this estimate here, right here.
That's a receipt.
$206 and $350. What was paid for so far was $350, which is all you paid so far.
Yes.
Where is the car now?
I parked at my dad's house because I had to take it out the shop. I didn't have enough money to get the transmission.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
All you paid for the car thus far, and the only estimate that you have.
This is the estimate.
Let me see that card.
I mean, he said he got his card and it has the amount for a used transmission. I'm not trying to get over on her. I just want what's rightfully mine. That's exactly what he gave me.
Your Honor.
What?
She have my belongings that she had at the club. I have about $225 worth
That's
of
a lie.
belongings that was left at her cousin's house that I got dressed at.
Listen to me.
That
That's
I
your
had.
fault.
That I got dressed at.
Miss
that
Thomas! You gave her $100 so far?
Yes.
Between what it cost, which she paid for, which was $350. Cost of a transmission is $450. That's for a used transmission. Does that sound right to you, Bird?
Sounds about right.
Then you have $250 for labor. She gave you $100. That's $950.
Okay.
And I find that you are 50% responsible for what happened that night. You placed yourself in a position where you could not responsibly get home. Put your hand down. You talked, I'm talking. You placed yourself in a position where you could not get home that night. I find that, right or wrong, since you don't remember, I take her for her word that she got your consent, even your drunken consent, to drive the car home. She had no license, she had no right to be in the car, and she did, in fact, either run a stop sign or did not stop sufficiently to see another car coming. So both of you are responsible. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $475. Thank you.
9 on the calendar in the matter of Howard versus Yancey. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
I have two cases in this mishmash that I'm going to try to sort out. According to you, Mr. Howard, you and the defendant dated for a while.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have certain complaints against her that date back to December
Yes, ma'am.
of 1999.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
So let's deal with them. First, you claim that your now ex-girlfriend,
Yes, ma'am.
sometime in early December, was angry with you about something and she keyed your car.
Certainly.
Certainly. Then, after she keyed your car, a couple of days later, you had a fight and she vandalized your house.
Right.
And then you complain that in April, you bought her a ring.
Yes, ma'am.
So first she vandalized your car, then she vandalized your house, and then you bought her a ring.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I mean, I'm trying to just follow the scenario here.
Okay.
And you claim that this ring that you purchased for her was not an engagement ring, and there was an agreement with her that she would pay for half of the ring.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what you want, half of the ring.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me the circumstances surrounding her keying your car.
It was about 7:45 in the evening. She called me and said, I'm getting off work. Can you come and get me? So I go out to pick her up. She got in the car, and I said we were probably traveling for probably about 10 or 15 minutes. And out of the middle of nowhere, we're sitting at the red light, and she smacks me. And I'm like, what was that about? And she was like, because I think it was one of her friends indicated to her that they saw somebody in the car with me earlier that day.
Of a female persuasion?
Yes, ma'am. So I said, Chris, what are you talking about? I've been at work all day. What are you talking about? So I proceeded, because I had to go back to my office to pick up one of my employees. So I went back to my office. I got out of my truck. I went into the building. When I came back, one of my employees said, she just keyed your truck.
Well, I can't hear that, sir.
Huh?
Unless you have the employee here, I can't hear what somebody else said.
Okay. And I asked her, I said, did you just key my truck? She said, yeah.
So you asked her?
Yeah, I asked her. And she said, yeah, I keyed your truck.
Why'd you do that?
I didn't, Your Honor.
Did you say you had?
No.
Did you key it a little bit? Now listen, that's not saying he didn't forgive you,
Okay.
because he might have forgiven you later, because he did buy the ring, right?
Right.
But you have to tell me the truth, because then if you tell a lie to me once, then I don't believe anything else that you say. Do you understand?
Yes.
Did you key his truck a little bit?
No, Your Honor, I didn't.
Did you have any discussion with him about keying your truck?
No, not that I did it, but we discussed it.
When?
I don't remember the dates or whatnot, but I was driving his truck one day, and I noticed that it was dented and scratched up. And I said, you know, your truck is keyed up. And he said that he had no knowledge of it.
Okay. So after she said, according to you, that yes, she keyed your truck, what did you do?
I was angry about my truck, and I asked her, I said, you know, why do you always tear up my car when you're mad at me? My car doesn't do anything to you. You know what I'm saying?
And did you see her the next day?
As a matter of fact, I did, because I indicated to her, I said, well, my insurance company says if I know who vandalized the truck, then I have to file charges against them, you know? And she was like, well, I can't believe you're going to file charges against me. I'm not going to file charges against you.
So you signed a statement to the insurance company that you didn't know?
I never signed a statement. I didn't even file the claim, Your Honor.
You have pictures of the scratch marks?
As a matter of fact, I don't, because when we went to get them developed yesterday, they exposed them.
So you have no pictures?
No, ma'am, I don't.
You have an estimate?
No, I didn't, because
Fine, then let's move on from the truck. Let's move on to the house.
Okay.
Tell me what happened.
Well, I had some friends that came over. In particular, one of my friends that came over that she suspected that I was messing around with. And that wasn't necessarily the truth.
Not necessarily?
Not necessarily, no, ma'am. Chris had really aggravated me that particular day. So I kind of wanted her to leave. But Chris is one of those people who just would not leave. All right. So I asked another young lady if she would take Chris out the house and go for a ride or whatever, and she said yeah. So the young lady and Chris left and went for a ride. So I went upstairs to take a shower. Chris came back. She was ringing the doorbell. My instructions to the people who were at my house that particular night was if Chris comes back, do not let her in. So when they refused to let her in, Chris broke the window.
Did you break the window?
I didn't mean to break the window, Your Honor.
So the answer is you broke the window?
Yes, I did break the window.
And how did you break the window?
Knocking on it. It was this thin window. I was knocking on the window. At first I was ringing the doorbell. As I was knocking on the window, my hand went straight through the window. No cuts or bruises.
Okay. And then what happened?
Chris was pulling off in her car as I was coming downstairs. So we started to clean up all the glass. About 15 minutes later, Chris came back and she stabbed my back tire out my car.
Did you see her do that?
As a matter of fact, I did, because I couldn't get out the house in time enough before she was able to get back to her car. And I did get back to her car, but she had rolled her window up and took off.
Were you really mad?
I didn't do that, Your Honor.
Didn't slash his tire?
No.
If I might say something, Ashante was a witness to the fact that she did stab my tire.
Step up. Over there. You were there that evening?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me, where were you when you saw her slash the tire?
On the couch.
You were sitting on the couch?
Yes, because I heard somebody pull it back up. So I looked out the window because the window was already broken, so we was trying to fix it. She was getting out of her car, running up to the car, stabbing the tire, jumped back in her car and burrowed out. So, yes, Your Honor, she slashed the tire. I was there. I seen that.
Okay, so she slashed your tire.
Yes.
Did you have it fixed?
Oh, yes, ma'am, I did.
How much did it cost you?
It was approximately $148.47.
So you bought a new tire?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And you have a bill for that?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see it, please?
Yes.
Okay, so you forgave her for breaking your window, you forgave her for slashing your tire.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Your Honor, I felt as if it was necessary to forgive her because, in many senses, it was inappropriate for me to have a guest at my house who should not have been there.
They're not necessarily guest.
Right. It was rather inappropriate for me to have her there.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Where's the ring?
I lost the ring.
Did you buy her a new one?
As a matter of fact, I did, Your Honor.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Corey Howard claims ex-girlfriend Christina Yancey keyed his truck and vandalized his home. Corey also says Christina owes him for the value of a ring.
So, let me hear about it.
As far as he's saying about he had a female guest there was no one there but my best friend, Shantae, and Mr. Howard.
So what were you angry about? You did go for a ride with this young lady.
I didn't go for a ride anywhere. I stayed there, and then I left. I went to the store. I came back.
And when you came back, they wouldn't let you in?
They wouldn't let me in.
Why do you think they wouldn't let you in?
I have the slightest idea.
You have to have some idea, madam, otherwise they're acting in a psychotic fashion.
Well, there was another car. It was the car there. When I left, the car wasn't there. But when I came back, the car was there. It was another car there.
Another car there that you suspected was a woman's car?
I don't know, Your Honor.
Well, that, you know, something must have been going through your mind, madam. You're banging at the door with sufficient force to break a window. They won't let you in the house. You must have been pretty annoyed. He was your boyfriend, right?
Right.
Okay. Did you ever have a discussion with her about the tire?
As a matter of fact, I did. And
I assumed that you did. Yeah. Let me about the discussion about the tire.
Yeah. And she said, the reason why I cut your tire was because you wouldn't answer the door.
Sounds right.
You know, and
Sounds right. Sounds right. Okay. I have the tire here on your side, sir.
Yes.
Let's get to the ring.
Okay. The very day that she purchased the bracelet that she's wearing right now, she said to me...
You were shopping together?
Yeah, we were shopping together.
Okay, so you went into a jewelry store.
We went into a jewelry store.
That's always dangerous.
Which was owned by one of my friends, okay?
Yes.
And she says, I want to buy... I had given her like $300 that particular day. And she said she
You gave her $300 in cash?
Yes, ma'am, while we were shopping, because we split up in the mall, so I gave her $300.
Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. That was nice of you.
I was very nice to her, Your Honor. And what happened was, she came in the jewelry store, and she saw that very bracelet that she's wearing right now, and I said, I can't afford it, I'm buying me a ring. You know, I said, I gave you some money, so you buy it. So she went in her pocket and bought that bracelet. At the time, she says, oh, I want that ring right there. I can't afford that ring. I said, but if you split the cost with me, I will buy the ring. And she agreed to split the cost for the ring.
How much was the ring?
I think the ring was like a wholesale. I got the ring at a wholesale value, so I think it ended up being like $4 something. You know, but the retail value on it was like $1,000.
I don't care what the retail value is. How much did you pay for the ring?
I didn't pay anything, Your Honor. When we met up, he took me to the jewelry store. He had a diamond ring in his hand. He said, "Do you like this ring?" I said, "Oh, yes, it's beautiful." He was like, "Do you want it?" I was like, "Yes." He put it on my finger. He paid for the ring.
Well, he says he paid for the ring, but he says that that was sort of extra. He had given you $300 and you saw something that you liked for over and above, and you said you'd split the cost with him.
This is what I saw that I liked it, the tennis bracelet, which was $99.
Right.
I paid for it out the money he bought me.
So you're wearing that, right?
You're
wearing the tennis bracelet. Where's the ring?
I lost the ring. And I told him that.
That's not what she told me, Your Honor. She indicated that she had placed the ring in a jewelry box in her room, and she said that her mother's boyfriend had went into the room and stole the ring when she was not at home. And I said, how did your mom's boyfriend steal the ring when you're not at home?
Did you buy her a new one?
As a matter of fact, I did, Your Honor. As a matter of fact, I did buy her a new one.
What?
thought you were psychic.
It says that here.
So I went back to my friend Tony and I said, Tony, you know that ring I bought? I said, do you have another one just like it? Well, of course, this ring was a very nice ring.
All right, so you got her another one.
Yes, ma'am.
Where's the other one that he got you?
It's at home, Your Honor.
Uh-huh. She didn't offer to pay for half of that one.
No, she didn't, Your Honor.
All right. All right, so far what I have on your side, sir, it's $148.47. Because if you were really interested in getting half the money back for this original ring that you bought, you wouldn't have bought her another one, right?
No, that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, well, it's necessarily true. So on your side is $148.47 because she slashed your tire. Madam. Okay. Now that takes care of that case. Now, I want you to stand over there.
Okay.
You to sit down over there. And I would like Miss Catherine Yancey right over there. Party's been sworn?
They've already been sworn, Judge.
Good, thank you. Now, you're her mother.
Yes.
It is your complaint that Mr. Howard vandalized your house and later set it on fire. And that, according to you, happened on the 6th of June.
Yes.
Of 2000. So, let me hear about it.
I came home from a meeting approximately 9:30 in the evening. My daughter told me that Corey Howard came to my house looking for her, said that he broke my front window. He went to the car and got a tire iron or hammer or something and broke the front window. So I was going to the police station to make a report, and he pulls up on the side street. So I pulled next to him to ask him, why does he keep coming to my house? Why does he keep coming around? He said that he wanted everything that he ever bought for that B. Specifically, he wanted this ring. So I asked her where the ring was. She told me she lost the ring. He said that she told him that my boyfriend stole the ring. And I told him that that was ridiculous. I didn't want to hear anymore because there's no way that my boyfriend would steal a ring.
She's a fibber, you know, your daughter. She's a fibber.
Okay, well, I know my boyfriend would not steal
I
a ring.
understand that.
So I took off to go to the police station. He followed me on my bumper, you know, trying to intimidate me. We continued to the police station to make the report. When I came home from the police station, my deck had been set on fire. Neighbor across the street said he saw.
Don't tell me what your neighbor across the street said unless that person is here to testify. Step up next to your mother, please. Let me just hear about the broken window.
Well, me and Corey, he called, and he was like, you know, do you want to hook up? And I was like, no. He's like, why? Asking me why, and my phone hung up on him. I was on the porch with my neighbor at the time. He pulled up. I ran in the house because I didn't know what he was going to do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She says, you didn't have to give me the money for the abortion because my real baby daddy gave me the money for the abortion.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Catherine Yancey claims her daughter's ex-boyfriend, Corey Howard, broke into her home and set fire to her deck.
And then what happened?
He's ringing the doorbell. B, come out of here. You better bring your butt out of here. Cussing, just making a lot of ruckus. I'm looking out the window from my room, and I see Corey pop his trunk and get like a tire thing out. He proceeded to walk towards the house. with this thing in his hand. At that point, I ran out the back door, over the fence and next door to my neighbor's house. When I was outside, I heard a slash noise. Finally, when he did pull off, I went back to my house next door. My mother's stained glass window was broken.
Did you do that?
No, ma'am, I did not break the window. As a matter of fact, on the particular day that she claims that I broke the window, I was in a staff meeting with all 4 of my sales managers on that particular day.
So
now,
you're telling me that not only didn't you break her window, but you didn't see her mother that day either. So her mother's lying too. You didn't even see her mother?
I did see her mom that day.
Driving away from her house?
No, I was not driving away from her house when I saw her mother.
Where were
Okay,
you?
as a matter of fact, maybe I should just tell how all of this originated. I was out on vacation, all right? Christina called me the whole time I was in New Orleans, okay? Christina says, I'm pregnant. I want you to give me $300 to have an abortion. I said, Christina, I'm not giving you anything, okay? First of all, because I'm not the only person you're sleeping with, okay? On this particular day, Christina called me, and she says, I just called you to tell you that you didn't have to give me the money for the abortion because my real baby daddy gave me the money for the abortion. I said, hey, ain't no problem, wasn't no sweat off my back. You understand what I'm saying? Even though I was angry and infuriated, okay, I was just really upset, you know. I passed by her house. I was on the phone with Christina. We got into an argument. I did not break the window. I did not set their house on fire or whatever.
To get a house on fire, there are no witnesses to you setting a house on fire. She says she saw you break the window.
I did not break a window.
Did you bang on her door?
As a matter of fact, I did not, Your Honor, because I never went to her house. I'm not
As a
going to lie.
matter of fact, okay. How much did it cost you to fix the window?
I haven't had the window fixed yet.
So you have no estimate?
Yeah, I have estimates of the fire damage.
I'm not interested in the fire damage. You have no witnesses with regard to the fire damage.
Okay, what I do have is police reports where my witnesses did give a report to the police.
That's insufficient in court. What's sufficient is that you have a witness.
And I also
presence.
have phone numbers that they said you may be able to call. Both of the witnesses are there.
No. That's a far too serious issue to make a determination by picking up a phone.
Will you not take the police report with arson report?
Oh, absolutely not. Did they arrest him?
No, they won't arrest him.
Of course they won't arrest him. If you had a witness that the police found believable that witnessed him committing arson, they would have arrested him. Arson is a very, very serious felony. Do you understand? You have an estimate for the window.
It has the fire and the window. Repair front stained glass window,
Yeah,
yes.
that I'll see.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
The stained glass window was $75. Listen, I don't think that either one of you two young people would know the truth if it came up and bit you in the behind. I think that when you come to court and you testify in a court, the judge is supposed to be able to make a determination based on truthfulness. That's a hard thing when it comes to you two. However, I do find, madam, that you slashed his tire, and therefore he is getting the $148 that he spent to fix the tire that you slashed. And I do find, sir, that you broke a window. I can't make a determination that you committed arson, although that would be a really serious crime. But I do find that you did, in fact, break a window, and according to the estimate from our insurance, it's going to cost $75. So in your case, I'm awarding you $75, and on your case, sir, $148.47. Thank you. This case is over.
Parties are excused. 160 on the calendar in the matter of Jones versus Serpa. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mrs. Jones, the defendant is your former husband, or plaintiff is your present husband. When were you divorced from the defendant?
1982.
1982?
1992. 92.
1992. And how many children do you have together?
3.
How old are they?
One's going to be 18, one's going to be 16, and one's going to be 13.
The 18-year-old is a girl?
Yes, she is.
Lives with you?
Yes, she does.
Where do the other 2 children live?
My 16-year-old daughter lives with me, and my son lives with my husband, ex-husband.
So the 2 minor children are split up.
Right.
Your lawsuit seeks half of your daughter's, your 18-year-old daughter's, graduation expenses, her gown, her prom tickets. Right now, there is a court order that says neither one of you are responsible for the support of the children because each of you has a minor child living with you. Is that
Correct.
right? Was there an agreement between the 2 of you to share these high school graduation expenses?
Yes, there was.
Well, tell me about the agreement.
I never agreed to anything.
Just a minute. She's going to tell me. I'm going to give you an opportunity.
I asked Lewis if he could help me out with some of the expenses. He told me he would send me a couple $100 in a couple weeks, and he never did. And then he told me that Jennifer was no longer his responsibility.
Okay. So according to you, at best, he said to you, I'll send you a couple of $100. That's $200.
All I wanted him to do was help me out.
Okay. Well, my concern is that you're suing him for $500.
Because now I'm suing for half, because, you know, he is a biological father. He should at least help.
Yeah, we just basically wiped out our savings account and everything else through, you know, for this whole prom and graduation thing and everything else. And
Mr. Jones, one of the things that concerned me in Mr. Serpa's answer was that you chose his daughter's graduation from high school as the time to serve him with a small claims suit.
That's right.
Why did you do that?
Well, because he lives in Bakersfield and we're in Sacramento, and otherwise we'd have to pay to have him served. And he's a truck driver. You know, it's hard to truck.
Well, how much do you think it would cost you to have him served?
I'm not sure what they charge. I think it's like $35 or something like that.
Right, to have him served.
But then the sheriff's got to track him down and everything else.
Just a minute. Not so hard to track him down. You have an apartment?
I have a house.
And you have a 13-year-old living with you?
Yes.
It's not so hard to track him down.
But Lewis is not there all the time.
I don't care whether he's there all the time or not. Who was present when you served him with these papers?
My 16-year-old daughter.
My 13-year-old son.
Yeah.
And what about the graduate?
She was already down coming in. She didn't know that it was being done.
But it was done in front of the other two children.
Right.
That was a big mistake. You don't inflict your anger on an event that's supposed to be a joy for children by serving their father with a small claim suit. I assume the small claim suit was for the graduation expenses.
Yeah, and prom.
They actually used my 16-year-old daughter because she came over with one of his friends, and she introduced me to him, and then he served me with the paperwork.
What had you told your 16-year-old daughter about this person?
No, this was a neighbor of ours across the street that served the papers.
Did you tell your 16-year-old that her father was going to be served with papers by this person?
Yeah.
She knew.
Well, tell me what you told her. Who spoke to her?
Oh, you mean when she went up to introduce our neighbor to her?
Before you got to the graduation, there had to be a plan, a plot.
Actually, no, she didn't know it at the time. When we got there,
we
didn't know how to get the papers to him, so I asked Laura if she wouldn't mind taking Rodney over there, because Rodney wanted to see Nick anyway.
Okay. If she wouldn't mind taking Rodney, your next-door neighbor, over to her father.
Right.
Go ahead.
And then that's when Rodney gave him the papers.
So is now what you're telling me that your daughter did not know he was going to give him the papers?
She knew. I mean, she didn't want to go over there, but she did it anyway.
What do you mean she didn't want to go over there?
Well, because she just hesitated, but she went over there to take
What do you
Rodney
mean she
over there.
hesitated? She didn't hesitate. She said something to you. She said, I don't want to do this?
No.
What did she say?
She just kind of gave me that look like, well, Mom, but she went. But she didn't say nothing. She just did
sounds like a good kid to me. You had no right to do that. You people are not doing the right thing to your children. You're not.
Neither is he.
No. This was a very bad thing to do to your children. This was a very bad thing, far worse than a couple $100 for a prom dress or a graduation ring or anything else. It's a far worse thing to enlist the aid of your 16-year-old who really didn't want to do it. She didn't want to be involved with it. You made her a co-conspirator in what you decided to do, which was to serve him papers on the date of your daughter's graduation. There isn't a question in my mind that your 18-year-old who graduated knew about what had happened. She may have known about it afterwards.
She knew before. She told me that was going to happen.
She told you that it was going to happen.
She knew that you were going to get served papers, but she didn't know when that day.
She didn't know it was that day. She
Right.
just knew it was going to happen.
So you think that she was happy or not happy when she found out that her father was served on her graduate?
Well, I'm sure she wasn't happy about it.
So why did you do it?
I didn't have any other way to give it to him.
Of course you did. You mean you don't
Am I
see a
supposed to drive
13-year...
down there and give it to him?
Absolutely. If it's a choice between doing it on graduation day and getting in a car and driving down with your next-door neighbor and serving him with the papers, that's what you do.
But then we got to go through the
I
problem
wasn't
of trying
happy
to
about
find
it being
him
done
and
that
trying
day.
to track him down. I mean, he was already in Sacramento. He was there, you know. That's
Case is dismissed, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
it's just that there's no way of tracking him down, you know. I mean,
no comment.
My daughter was really just devastated about me getting served. I went down after graduation. I told her, and she was really devastated. She was hurt.
And now the next case.
All parties on Coleman versus Smith. Step forward, please.
20-year-old sales rep Shireen Coleman is suing her former landlord, 63-year-old retired secretary Gloria Smith, for slander, harassment, and invasion of privacy. Gloria is countersuing for harassment, mental anguish, and destruction of property.
Ms. Coleman, you rented a piece of property, residential property, from the defendant and claimed that she turned out to be the landlady from hell. According to you, she slandered you, she maligned you, she invaded your privacy. Ms. Smith, on the other hand, said that you were really a problem tenant and that the only time that you filed a lawsuit against her was after she had moved to have you evicted. When did you move to have her evicted?
On the 9th of June.
Has that matter been heard
Oh,
yet?
yes. The sheriff has already posted the property on June 13th.
What does that mean?
July
posted?
13th.
What does that mean?
That means that they came out and gave the property back to me. They moved out that morning.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She called me a drug addict. She told me that I was a lowlife.
They admitted they were doing drugs when they moved in.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Shireen Coleman says her former landlord, Gloria Smith, slandered her, claiming she's a drug dealer.
When did you move in?
We moved in the 19th, which was a Friday.
Of May?
Yeah. I have the rental agreement here, as well as the receipt for the money paid.
Okay. She doesn't say that you didn't pay the rent. Is
That's
that right?
That's right.
There's no dispute about that. So you tell me what your problems were with her that you believe a court would compensate you for.
Okay. She slandered me, Your Honor, to my own boss. Okay. This is my employer right here. She called me a drug addict. She told me that I was a lowlife.
Wait 1 second. She didn't tell this to you. She told this to your boss.
Correct.
Okay. Would you step up, please? Tell me your name.
Donna Stewart.
You want to tell me about a conversation that you had with the defendant?
Shireen called me to come over and be with her to pay the rent for a witness because she had been giving her a hard time. She gave me the cash for the rent. I wrote a check to her. When we went over, their neighbors, right next door to each other, she started screaming. They were drug addicts, losers. They couldn't make any money. The boss had to pay the bills.
Didn't you find it odd that Miss Coleman asked you to go with her to pay her rent?
No.
Why not?
Because I know the story. It goes back before that.
Right, because there was a pre-existing situation that existed between these two people.
Yes.
So it is peculiar to have somebody come with you to ask you to pay your rent.
Yes.
Of course. So that they had had a problem before. Now, were you aware of the fact that Miss Smith wanted Miss Coleman out of the property?
No, not at that time.
Well, she did want you out of the property, correct?
This was before that.
Miss Coleman, what kind of problem did you fear when you went to hand her the rent check?
That she wasn't going to accept my rent for some odd reason.
Right. If she wasn't going to accept your rent check, then you must have known that she wanted you out of the premises, right?
Yes.
What led you to believe that?
Because her actions toward us...
Why don't you have a seat? Because this guy's got ants in his pants. He's
well, no,
dying to get up here.
I
Why
lived
don't
there
you
with her. I lived there with her.
This is my
And
fiancé.
the problem was the day that we tried to pay the rent, I removed the fascia board on the bottom of the house. Okay, when I removed the board, the stucco on the house fell all the way down to the chicken wire. We have pictures of it here to show you. When I did that, I told Gloria that I couldn't fix it. She needed to get a professional to repair it. She said she was going to repair it with a can of concrete fix-all and some newspaper in there. So therefore
that stuff off for?
She asked me to remove it. We were going to repair it and paint.
That's before.
This is pictures of it before I took it off.
And here's pictures after.
And here's pictures after I took it off. That was in the agreement that we were going to remove them, paint, and apply new ones.
And what date was this?
The day we paid our rent, the next rent.
It was the 5th of June. This was before that we received the eviction notice.
Okay, and Lee had approached me and asked me for the rent.
Okay. Now, Miss Smith, did you, in fact, do you acknowledge, in fact, that you said to this lady when she went to give you the check that she and or her boyfriend were drug addicts?
I never had a conversation with her. She only brought over a check on June 20th. After the eviction time, she brought a cop with her and demanded me to come get the rent. And then she says, do I have to take you to court to force you to take the rent money?
No.
Okay.
And I have the police report.
Well, this could be resolved by showing, you say that you went to pay the rent on June 5th.
Which I have the
Show
receipt
me either
for.
the canceled check of June 5th.
Here's the receipt from Miss Smith.
From Gloria and Lee.
Yeah.
It was June 20th.
Because Lee had given us the receipt to
problem
begin
was-
with. And I said I needed a receipt from Gloria because Lee didn't have nothing to do with our rental agreement, landlord, co-owner, nothing. So therefore...
This is dated June 5th for $150, And there's another one dated June 5th for another $150.
There's one for the 19th, ma'am.
When Lee accepted the check, he marked cash, and he signed it. I further asked Gloria, can you please sign it, because you had told me previously you didn't want him on...
How much was your whole rent?
Our whole rent for the first month was $550. She offered to break it up in 2 payments, $400 on the 20th and $150 on the 5th, for the first month only.
So far, is that correct?
So far, that's right.
Okay, because I do have a check for $400 on the 19th, and I have a receipt, $150, 2 payments of $150 on the 5th of June.
Right, there's only 1 payment there.
Okay, so how much was the check that you gave her?
$150?
Yes.
Yes.
$150?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you did have a conversation with her?
No, they
Never.
brought me over the check. I have not talked with that lady, except to tell her to get off my property when they came onto my property illegally.
Who came onto your property?
Miss Alvarez and her husband climbed over my fence that's marked posted, no trespassing.
That's not
true.
And I have witnesses to that effect.
Where?
Well, they couldn't come today because
Then I'm not
I have
interested. Then I'm not interested.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You telling me you didn't allow anybody who was using drugs, and they said to you, we used to use drugs, but we don't anymore?
Right.
You're fibbing, Miss Smith.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Shireen Coleman says her former landlord, Gloria Smith, slandered her, claiming she's a drug dealer.
What was the problem that you were having with these people when they moved in? I mean,
when they first moved in, they seemed very nice. I mean, they come across that way. Within a couple of days, they even admit they partied during the middle of the night.
What do you mean they admit that they partied during the night?
Well, they said they were out there laughing, joking, and drinking in the middle of the night. They played a joke on the neighbor behind the house. And there's a little green light that they had on when they first moved in.
Yeah.
And the police said, that's a warning light, you better get rid of them, because that can mean illegal activity in the police terminology, and I could lose my home.
Barbecue is a party, Your Honor.
At 3 in the morning.
We sat out in the on the patio and had barbecue and drank beer, yes. This is one of our neighbors, if I could call her, please.
Ms. Tana, she is one of our neighbors who live across the way. She is also a witness to Mrs. Smith's previous activities with all of her neighbors. Every tenant that comes in there,
I don't want
they
to
get
hear
evicted.
about. I only want to hear about you.
Okay. And she
She's the one that
lives
she's
across the
witnessed.
way.
Go ahead,
Your
Mama,
Honor,
please.
if I may.
No, just a minute. Are you related to any of these people?
No.
You're just a neighbor. And how long have you been a neighbor of the defendants?
I lived in the duplexes across the way.
Okay.
And I've been there about almost going on 2 years.
Okay. You have anything to contribute to this case?
When we first moved in, she'd put a note on our car for destruction of property, was going to have us arrested.
I don't want to hear
Yeah,
about that. I want to
okay.
hear about this lady. Did you ever hear the defendants slander Miss Coleman?
Yes, she was yelling about being the drug addicts.
You heard that?
Yes.
When?
There was like 2 occasions.
Who was she yelling at?
At people that was like coming in and from her yard. I mean, just standing out there hollering.
Okay. You have a cause of action here, Miss Coleman, for invasion of privacy.
That's correct.
Okay. You want to explain that to me?
She has seen Miss Tanner in my home when I am not there.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
On which date?
You know, I don't know the exact date. I always sit out on my front step, and I seen her go inside of the house when they were not there. But I didn't know.
Okay, but you don't know whether she had asked for permission or not?
No, that's why I
Because you
didn't.
don't know the dates.
Right.
Ms. Coleman, did you in fact give permission to the defendant to go into your apartment on certain dates to do repairs?
She gave me the 24-hour notice, and on those days I was home the whole time that she said she would be there. She never came in. Other than that, I have not given her permission to enter my house.
Your Honor, there's something I'd like to say about her witness, if I may. She was subpoenaed by the Superior Court of Riverside to appear in court on my behalf because this is the second tenant she's gone to court to lie for.
I'm not so sure she's lying. I'm not so sure that either one of you has a cause of action. And I'm not so sure that you weren't permitted to go into the apartment, whether she was home or not, to do repairs. But I am concerned, Ms. Smith, quite frankly, about the statement that I do believe that because of perhaps something that you heard from the police about a green light as being cause of illegal activity, and they had a green light outside of their house, that you, in fact, said to other people that the plaintiff and or her fiancé were drug addicts. I believe you said that.
No, ma'am.
Oh, no, I believe you said that.
No, ma'am.
Well, I'm the judge.
I know.
I'm the judge. And
I
I'm
know,
telling you,
but-
you look like a very nice lady,
I
but I
know,
believe
but-
you got mad, and I believe that you called them drug addicts to other people, and you have no right to do that. You have a right to take them to court, and you have the right to have them evicted, which you did. The only thing that I am going to address here is the issue of slander.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There is some defense to slander if the accusation that you made, which was calling them drug addicts, was true. So if you wish to tell me what proof you had that either of these two people were drug addicts, then that's a defense. You want to tell me?
Well, they admitted they were doing drugs when they moved in.
Who did they admit that to?
To Lee and I.
Let me
They
hear
wanted a
that.
second chance.
Let me hear that. Come on, let me hear it. I want to hear
They
it.
just says we've been doing drugs, but we're trying to get clean.
That is not true, Your Honor.
And to give them a second chance.
Why would someone who comes to rent a house from you tell you, unless you were taking them in from a facility, shh, quiet, Miss Smith, come and tell you that they were both recovering drug addicts and they wanted a second chance?
Because we told them we did not allow anyone who were doing drugs on the property.
So were you telling me you didn't allow anybody who was using drugs? That was a statement that you made for them, to them, and they said to you, we used to use drugs, but we don't anymore?
Right.
You're fibbing, Miss Smith. You're fibbing. Big time. Maybe a nice lady, but a nice lady who's not telling the truth. And I find that you did, in fact, you may have had cause to evict them. You have an absolute right to go to court and have your property returned to you, which you did. You have no right, without proof, to call somebody a drug addict to their employer or to a neighbor. And on that charge alone, I'm awarding the plaintiffs $2,000. That's all. Thank you, Judge. Thank you.
Trên tay mình đang cầm đây là cái sản phẩm dầu ăn kích đi cá hồi, và với cái dòng dầu ăn dinh dưỡng cho trẻ em. Kích đi là một cái dòng dầu ăn được sản xuất từ dầu cá hồi tự nhiên nhập khẩu, và với cái công thức mới, cái mùi vị cải tiến sẽ giúp cái mùi vị được thơm ngon và đặc chỉ cái giai đoạn vàng của trẻ từ 6 cho đến 3 tuổi. Và với cái dòng dầu ăn dinh dưỡng kích đi sẽ cung cấp các cái chất như là DHA, EPA tự nhiên, và có nhiều cái dưỡng chất quan trọng như là omega 3, omega 6 và omega 9, và các cái loại vitamin như vitamin A, vitamin E và các cái chất béo thiết yếu khác, giúp trẻ của chúng ta sẽ phát triển về cái não bộ, và đặc biệt là sẽ phòng ngừa được các cái bệnh về mắt, và sẽ cung cấp cái năng lượng cho trẻ được phát triển một cách toàn diện. Và với cái thành phần thì có dầu đậu nành tinh luyện, dầu cá hồi nhập khẩu, dầu gạo lứt, hạt mè, dầu hạt cải, và có vitamin A. Và cái cách sử dụng các cái dòng dầu cho bé như thế này thì chúng ta sẽ nên dùng 2 muỗng mỗi ngày, và chúng ta sẽ cho cái dầu ăn vào trực tiếp cái đồ ăn của bé. Với dầu ăn kích đi cá hồi thì chúng ta sẽ cho vào thức ăn khi đã chín và khi thức ăn còn nóng. Sau đó là chúng ta sẽ trộn đều và chúng ta sẽ cho bé dùng. Như vậy là bé sẽ có một cái chén súp, chén cháo cực kỳ ngon, và sẽ bổ sung được các cái chất cực kỳ cần thiết cho các bạn nhỏ của chúng ta, là một cái dòng dầu ăn mà mẹ không nên bỏ qua.